a Cy Young Award, the second American League relief pitcher to do such a feat. The Sporting News has come out with its Players of the Year in the respective leagues. Tony Armas of the Oakland A's has been named the Player of the Year in the American League, and Andre Dawson, the center fielder of the Montreal Expos, has been named Player of the League in the National League. Armas at .261 with 22 homers and 76 RBIs, and Dawson at .302, 24 homers and 64 RBIs. Cooled off a little bit in the playoffs. Those votes come courtesy of a poll of Major League ball players. So this is quite a prestigious award. Armas and Dawson, Players of the Year in Major League Baseball. We've got Michigan and Minnesota. Big Ten action in college football. 81 Sports Center will follow the ball game a little after midnight. See you later.
This ESPN Sports Center update has been brought to you by Regal Shoes. Regal, take your feet with you.
The little brown jug. Oh, how I love thee. And that old refrain has special meaning for football players from Minnesota and Michigan. Coming up, the 71st time that the Wolverines and the Golden Gophers have battled for their famed old football trophy. From Memorial Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, ESPN presents the battle for the Little Brown Jug, the Wolverines of Michigan versus the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. College Football 81 is brought to you by Owens Corning Fiberglass Corporation, makers of Owens Corning pink fiberglass insulation, and by Natural Light, the beer with the taste for food. Around the Big Ten, it's always been known as the Old Brick House, and it's the scene of Minnesota's home games, and today a very big one with the Wolverines of Michigan. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Thacker. Delighted to be here for this traditional battle, and with me, the former great quarterback of Notre Dame, Terry Hanratty, and what a beautiful day in Minneapolis.
Jim, who'd you think Minneapolis Halloween day that it's going to be 65 degrees? If that's what it is today, it's going to be gorgeous for football.
Beautiful, son, and what a game we have, a very crucial game in the Big Ten race. And, of course, here comes Minnesota off the win off for Iowa, and look what it's done to the Big Ten race.
Well, in all sports, people are looking for parity, and they certainly have it in the Big Ten. Normally, you get Ohio State and Michigan at the end of the year battling for the Big Ten, but now you have 7 teams that are mathematically still involved in the race.
2 others come in this week and 1 loss, 5 others with 2, and among those are Michigan and Minnesota. So it is a very crucial game for both these, but especially this year. And let's find out how Bud Wilkinson sees this great matchup with the Wolverines and the Gophers. Bud?
Thank you, Jim. At the beginning of this topsy-turvy season, almost everyone picked Michigan to be the national champion. They've already lost 2 games. Why? Well, first, their defense has not quite lived up to expectations. They returned 8 starters, but they graduated to 3 big play men, and then they've had a great number of injuries. Offensively, the problem has been inconsistency. They have looked awesome on occasions, but at other times very mediocre. The play of quarterback Smith has been one of the problems. He's had a hot hand, and then he's had a cold hand. The statistics, I think, throwing the ball reflect Michigan's problem. 45 completions out of 114 attempts, and that's just 39%. But the most important one are those 7 interceptions. However, Iowa's defeat last week put Michigan back in the Big Ten title race and should help make them emotionally high for the Gophers. Minnesota has become a solid team. Defensively, they play a 4-4. 4 down linemen, 4 linebackers. They move constantly. They stunt a lot. They try to confuse the offensive blocking. They use the same theory with their offense. Multiple sets, men in motion, so the defense must adjust on every play. The key is their quarterback, Hohensee. How well he throws the football determines the success of the Minnesota attack. He's hit 85 of 174 passes, and that's 49%. That also reflects in the team statistics. Minnesota's throwing the ball for 180.4 yards per game, rushing it for 204, for a total of 384.4. The Gophers also have a weapon that is often overlooked in the great place kicking of Gallery. He's a man who puts the ball into the end zone on kickoff, and he's made 8 field goals in the last 2 games. Swing factors. Well, first, how high emotionally will Michigan be? Can they really reach the same peak of intensity that they did against Notre Dame? And then secondly, how well do the Gophers play defense? Can Minnesota stop the Michigan attack? It should be a great game. And now back to Jim Sackers.
Thank you very much, Bud. Well, Bo Schembechler says Michigan is ready, and the truth of the matter is very few people ever do stop Michigan, and there are two good reasons for that, Terry, in the backfield. Two really great game backers for Michigan.
Well, they really are, and, you know, it's number 24, Butch Woolfolk, is just an outstanding tailback. And number 1, Anthony Carter, is an outstanding receiver. And to have two game breakers like this on one team is just awesome for any defensive stuff.
Well, both the record setters for Michigan. Woolfolk has already set the rushing record, and Carter, of course. And here are three big reasons they can do what they can do up in the line.
I'll tell you, Jim, you know, these three guys, Moransky, Paris, and Becker, they look like three condominiums in Manhattan. But, you know, they are outstanding. They're both, all three of them were all Big Ten last year, and they're looking for All-American honors this year. And to have an offensive line like this, and plus the running attack, you know, is just an awesome thing. And I think that's what they're going to use today.
Well, Moransky and Paris go about 275 or 280 apiece. How does that compare with the defensive ends for Minnesota?
Well, it gives them about a 60-pound per man edge on the defense. And that's just awesome power.
Well, the other side of the coin, the University of Minnesota has a couple of game breakers of their own. Outstanding players here, and especially Hohensee on the right, who's come on at quarterback and given Joe Salem just great leadership.
Yeah, Mike Hohensee is a junior college transfer, and he's completing about 50% of his passes. But he's their offense, and he gets the ball to Cooper, and, you know, that's the mainstay of Minnesota's offense.
And up front, if they want short yardage, they're usually going to go to the right side.
Delafiore and Humphreys, you know, they're comparable to what Michigan has up front. They're big guys, and, you know, they can block extremely well.
Don't you think, Terry, if Minnesota's going to have a good chance against this Michigan defense, they're going to have to put the ball up in the air?
I think really, Jim, that it's going to be all Mike Hohensee today. I think he has to be successful throwing the ball. I think it's going to be very tough to run against Michigan. They're a swarming-type defense. They have a lot of injuries, but they have a lot of capable people in there.
Okay, we'll see how the two coaches, Joe Salem and Bo Schembechler, feel about this traditional battle for the Little Brown Jug when we come back in a moment to Memorial Stadium. Playing for the Little Brown Jug in 1909 over a trophy that was left here in Minnesota by the great Fritz Chrysler. They played every fall since then. Michigan's dominated the series, winning 41 times. Minnesota 20. There have been 2 ties. Much of that lead carved out by Bo Schembechler's team. They've won 11 of 12 games since he took over as coach at Ann Arbor. And when this season began 2 months ago about Terry Hanratty, this game didn't really look like that much of a close matchup, did it?
Jim, at that point, Michigan ranked number 1 in the country, and virtually everyone thought they were going to walk away with the Big Ten. So now we see it, and there's great parity in the Big Ten, and Minnesota's right in the thick of things, and we're going to see what's going to happen today because they're both tied.
All right, Michigan, of course, maybe a little disappointed after that such high preseason rating. We asked Bo Schembechler if this is a typical Michigan team.
Yes, I think so. You know, we've played well at times. We've had some trouble at times, but we've had a lot of injuries defensively, and that's bothered us a little bit. But it's a typical Michigan team. It's been fun to coach. We played a lot tougher teams. Maybe that's it. Or maybe we aren't quite as good as we have been in the past. But you know, that remains to be seen. But no, I think it's a typical Michigan team, and we're enjoying the season. We'll enjoy a lot more if we win these last 4.
You have lost 5 or 6 starters on defense, but back when you were ranked number 1 in the nation starting in, did you feel that was a fair rating at that time?
Well, our concern was defensively, Jim, and we weren't sure that we were strong enough defensively. And then even before the season started, the injuries started to hit us. And now, you know, we're without probably 5 starters in this game, maybe 6. We have one we may not be able to start. And if that's the case, we're playing a lot of young people. But I don't feel bad about that. They're enthusiastic, and we may make some mistakes and things like that. But we'll get after them. I think it'll be a good ball game.
Well, it's a little bit different looking at Big Ten. Though. It used to be you and Ohio State, and now 7 teams against the closest race the league's ever had. What do you think about all this balance?
Well, you know, I'd rather have it the other way, but, you know, that's, I think it's great for the conference, and it's great for college football. There's a lot of enthusiasm around all of these Big Ten cities now, whereas before they were just striving for the upset of Michigan and Ohio State.
Well, I think from our standpoint, it's really good. You know, I think Michigan and Ohio State have dominated for the last 10 years, and I've felt since I've been in the league, which is just 3 years, that, you know, I still said until somebody beats those two, and when the season's over, if they're not 1 and 2, and somebody cracks those two, we're not going to know. But I believe that the other 8 teams have gotten better. All of us have gotten better, and And our biggest problem was we kept beating each other, and also all of us ended up mediocre. So now we're getting a couple more beating the Michigans, and one of them beating Ohio State. So it's added a great deal of interest as far as the Midwest is concerned, and I think from our standpoint, we're glad that we still got a chance to be in this thing.
Smoky Joe Salem, who played here under the great flurry warm-up, and now he has come home to make Minnesota a contender as we come down closer to the opening kickoff of this game. Terry, it's rare indeed that a team can have as many as 2 losses and still win the Big Ten. It hasn't happened that often, has it?
No, it really hasn't. In fact, Wisconsin was the last team to win the Big Ten with 2 losses. And normally, I think it's said before, there was always Michigan and Ohio State playing. And in the 60s, Michigan State had great football teams. And they really dominated, and, the other teams in the Big Ten, just weren't competitive enough. So that's why, they had very few losses.
Matter of fact, that 59 Wisconsin team's the only team ever to win the Big Ten with 2 league losses, and it appears there's a good chance for that to happen here today. Michigan will be wearing the white with their maize and blue with the helmet decorated that's wing design that first started under Fritz Chrysler, and Minnesota will be wearing their traditional maroon and gold. And so it's a beautiful day here in Minneapolis. Here come the Golden Gophers, cheered on by a throng of over 50,000 for this crucial Big Ten game from Memorial Stadium. And what a contest we expect. And we'll be back for the opening kickoff of this game, the battle for the Little Brown Jug, in just a moment. We've mentioned the Little Brown Jug, and that'll be the prize here to the winner of this game. And also on the sidelines here is Floyd of Rosedale, almost equally famous as a trophy between Minnesota and Iowa. And last week they took this trophy down to Iowa, and they were able to bring it back home, Terry.
Yeah, it's one of the better-looking pigs I've ever seen.
I know you're thinking about barbecued ribs, but we'll let that go for the moment. It'll be Michigan kicking off. Minnesota won the toss. Back deep is Manny Henry, the freshman fullback of Evanston, Illinois. He'll start the game today at fullback. He's back there with Terry Glenn, number 8, and Ali Haji Sheikh will kick off for the University of Michigan, a junior from Arlington, Texas. And so it'll be Minnesota getting their first chance here. Michigan will have a pretty stiff breeze back for the first quarter. And the crowd roaring here now for the 2 traditional rivals. They can battle on what is a rare October afternoon in Minnesota. Haji Sheikh, number 6, came in here with a slight injury, but he kicks that ball deep. It'll go past the end zone, I believe. Yep, and it'll be 20-yard line for Minnesota as Haji Sheikh really boomed it out of there, and Minnesota will start on the offense on the touchback of their own 20-yard line, 1st and 10. In the backfield for Minnesota, they'll have Mike Hoynesy starting at quarterback. He is one of the key men, by the way, along with Chester Cooper, the flanker. That's great passing combination, as Cooper has set a record of almost 600 yards. And the offensive line. Here we'll show you the offensive line starters in a moment, but now the first play of the ball game. Hoynesy, the tailback, is Frank Jacobs, who will start coming off an injury, number 40. And they give it to Jacobs. Trying the right side, not much. Maybe about a yard. Stopped around the 20-21-yard line by Al Finchett, the nose guard, a freshman from Cleveland, Ohio, making only his 2nd start. There's the offensive line as for University of Minnesota. And the big man is Ken Delafiore, and Bill Humphreys playing on the right side, right tackle and right guard. Delafiore, 264 pounds. They just tied his side, and they got only a yard. 2nd down and 9. Wide on the left side is Ron Weckbecker. And on the short side of the field is Chester Cooper, the big threat. Hoynesy now on 2nd down and 9. It looks Hoynesy. Good protection. Hoynesy going to Weckbecker. Almost intercepted over here by Brian Carpenter. Carpenter, who closed in on it, as looked like Weckbecker lost his footing, Terry, at about the 30.
Jim, we were down the field earlier, and, that didn't seem to be, there was a lot of guys slipping, but the field seemed to be in pretty good shape.
As the defensive line, the University of Michigan, they use a 3-man line with, they use more or less of a 3-4 defense with 4 linebackers. Big man is Al Finchett, the nose guard. He's the guy to watch. Another 5-man, 3-man front. We'll show the deep second there just a moment. 3rd down and 9 for Hoynesy. This time he has Cooper on the left. Hoynesy going for Cooper over the middle. Broken up. Chester Cooper running a middle inside route, broken up by Keith Bostic, a strong safety by Michigan. So Michigan has survived the first area set the point. It'll be 4th down and a punting situation with 9 yards to go to the 21-yard line. And now Michigan looks to get good field position to send back receiver Tony Jackson. And in the ballgame is Paul Blanchard to do the punting. Michigan has 10 men up there close to the line. There's Blanchard. He's averaging 35.4. Only Jackson, a senior from Cleveland, is waiting back for Michigan. Nope, that is Carter. Anthony Carter who's back. Carter waiting. A beautiful punt taken up at 35. Carter, not much room. About a 3-yard return is all to the 38, but still pretty good field position for the University of Michigan as they take over for the first time in the game. So we'll set the offense now for the Wolverines. We've already told you about their great 1-2 punch. So they'll start Steve Smith at quarterback, Stan Edwards a great fullback, and with them the great 1-2 punch, Butch Wolford at tailback, and Anthony Carter, number 1, both primed as All-Americans. Vince Bean will be the split end, and the tight end is Norm Betts. We'll show you the line in a moment. Here comes the first play for Michigan at their own 38. Yes, gives it to his fullback, Edwards, straight up the middle over the 40, maybe the 42-yard line. It's going to be about a 3 or 4-yard gain for Stan Edwards, who's already had 500-yard games, and he's shooting now for 2,000 yards. There's the offensive line for the University of Michigan. As Betts, and there are the 3 big guys. Ed Moransky, 275. Kurt Becker, 265. And Double Paris, also at 275. Harris and Moransky, probably the best set of offensive tackles in the United States this year. Gain is 4. Second down and 6 from the 42. Gave Davis the first play. Now to give it to Wolford. Minnesota is waiting. He was hit first by Glenn Seslevich. And Seslevich, who plays the outside linebacking post for the Gophers, came in and actually threw Wolford for a loss of a yard. That doesn't happen very often. He just set the all-time Michigan rushing record last week when he went 3,368 yards for his career, passing up Rob Lytle.
And I'll tell you, Jim, when you play a 4 defense, you gamble a lot with the outside linebacker, and that's exactly what Seslevich did that time.
We'll show you the Minnesota defense in a moment, but here's a key play now for Michigan, their first series. 3rd and 7 for Steve Smith. Harder's on the right side, the bottom of your screen. Here's Smith back, play out. Smith looking the other way. Smith running, may get the first down. He does, over the 50 to the 49. A broken play for Steve Smith with a deep receiver covered. Jim Farnhorst putting on the pressure, but Smith broke through and picked up a key first down the first series for Michigan. So the Wolverines marching here. There's the Minnesota defense. Quickly, Orgus will be the left end. Kellen, then Farnhorst, Howard, Mecklenburg, and Davis. And in the backfield, Seslevich, who just made that tackle. And there are the others, Harris, Cardelli, Pepe, and Willis. Willis is a very outstanding safety man. You'll hear from him. He has 4 to 5 interceptions for the Gophers. First and 10, Michigan and Minnesota territory for the first time today. And again, they go to Wolford. Wolford fires the left side, cuts inside the end to the 45. Minnesota undoubtedly is going to key a little bit on Butch Wolford. Jim Farnhorst again went over to meet the play to make the stop. He's a senior linebacker from St. Cloud, Minnesota, coming off wrist surgery, and he's had an outstanding season. 79 tackles, which leads the Minnesota team, and he's recovered 2 fumbles. 2nd and 6 after his answer 4 by Wolford. Now as Craig Dunaway considered tight end, replacing Norm Betts. For Michigan, Bo Schembechler may be sending the plays in that way, although he likes the signal. But this time, Dunaway's brought into play, and here is second down play for the Wolverines. Wolford again, looking for room to the right side, trying to get outside, will not. Cut down, beautiful. Oh, that was a great tackle. Coming up was Harris, I think. Andre Harris, the left cornerback, met that play, and he stopped it for, again, no gain on the play, or at very least 1 yard. Penalty marker is down. There's a holding signal. Flashed against Michigan. Referee Richard McVeigh just gave the signal. The other officials are umpire Tom Manning. The headlines was Art White. The line judge Don Langlow. The field judge is Phil Barnes. The back judge is Tom Klein. Signed here by the Big Ten. Bo Schembechler in his 19th year of coaching with 159 victories. Only Bear Bryant and Bob Blackman among the active coaches have won more. Are they going to take the penalty, Terry?
Well, you have to take a holding penalty, Jim. 15 yards is an awful distance.
Back to the 45-yard line of Michigan.
This is going to force Michigan to put that ball up in the air. One thing when Smith, people don't realize, you see Bo Schembechler's career record there, 159, 40, and 6, just outstanding. But Smith has 4.5 speed in the backfield, so if the receiver's a cover downfield, he gets to run that ball. He's going to put a lot of pressure on the defense.
Ben Steen has come back in and split in, but Carter's on the right side. He's the guy that Minnesota must constantly double team and watch. There you see the shifting around on the Minnesota defense. It is second down and 16 for Smith. Smith going deep down the middle for Carter. He's got it on the 35. Carter close to the outside, taken out of bounds at 31. It'll be first down for the Michigan Wolverines. Andre Harris, the left cornerback, but he has a tremendous job trying to keep up the elusive and quick Anthony Carter.
That's the whole thing. They tried to just put Andre Harris on him one-on-one. He gives him an awful lot of room. I tell you, you really can't do anything. You know, you have to put two men on him. You got to watch him long and short. That time, Andre Harris is one-on-one, so he's got to give a lot of room. And you're going to hit those 15 to 18 yards out all day long.
Anthony Carter had his greatest game ever against Michigan. 142 yards on 9 catches last year, including 2 touchdowns. First and 10, Michigan at the Minnesota 31. They give it to the fullback Edwards. To the left side of the open. Over the 20-yard line, he dives for 17. First and 10 again for the Wolverines. Then Cartelli made the stop. And Michigan here on its first series of the football game, driving hard now. They're inside the 20-yard line of Minnesota. That's 3 consecutive first downs. The pass by Carter got him down deep, and Edwards got a gaping hole on the left side. Bubba Parrish probably opening up something over there in his spot as Joe Salem looks on from his sideline perch for Minnesota. Carter, the only wide out to the right side. Now here comes Dunaway in motion. There's Siegel right on the opposite way. The pitch is out for Wolford. He hangs on to the ball. He's driven out of bounds inside the 15. Wolford almost fumbled that football. Andre Harris again came up to make the play at about the 12 or 13-yard line. They're going to get a gain out of it. Maybe 4 yards. It'll be second down and give them 5 yards down to the 12. Second down and 5 coming up for Michigan. No, they spotted in the 13. Second and 6. First option play we've seen today, Terry.
I think you're going to see Smith do a lot of that today. I think it really get him into the running system, because if they cover Wolfo, if he can turn upfield, and I said with that 4-5 speed, he can create an awful lot of pressure on the defense.
This time they put Carter the wide side of the field out to the left. Second down play is a play action fake into the end zone to Carter over his head incomplete. Carter was running the route. Post pattern right over the middle in the end zone. Cardelli was back covering, but the pass was thrown too behind. That's been one of the problems, as Steve Smith has just been inconsistent in his throwing. You noticed something in Smith's warm-up that we might talk about, Terry, the way he dips the ball down a little bit.
One thing a quarterback can't get into the problem is once you set up the pass, the ball should never go below your weight. He dips the ball down a little bit, and I think that's what really makes his ball tail off. You saw how high that last pass was. You really have to come over the top of the ball as well.
Third down and 6, and now here's the gift. The Wolfpack in Minnesota's waiting for him at the 15-yard line. Fred Oregon led the charge in his left-hand post. The junior from Brooklyn, Center, Minnesota, Kellen, who plays right along beside him at left tackle, was there to help out. So we may see Haji Sheik coming to here to try a field goal on 4th down. B.J. Dickey's on the field. He'll hold. And Ali Haji Sheik, who's had only 1 of 4 field goal tries this year, will be in the try to put Michigan on the lead. It'll be a 31-yard tip from the 21-yard line. The wind is slightly at his back. Here's the kick in the air, and it is good. Haji Sheik hits his second field goal of the year in 5 tries, his first here this afternoon. And now the score becomes Michigan 3, Minnesota nothing, as the Wolverines draw first blood in the battle for the Little Brown Jug. We'll be coming back. Minnesota to receive the kickoff. Receive the kickoff. They'll send back Gary Glenn and Manny Henry, a pair of freshmen. There's Henry, number 37. Glenn is number 8, who is to his right, or to his left. And here the kickoff will be Haji Sheik. Haji Sheik is with Michigan in the lead by 3-0 on a 31-yard field goal. And the first period. The missed it tremendously. Oh, what a rare day in October we have here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Number 6, Ali Haji Sheikh, father of teacher down in Texas, third generation from Iran. Now here's the deep of the end zone all the way to the back line. Kerry Glenn takes that ball and very wisely downs it 10 yards deep in the end zone, and for the second time, Haji Sheikh puts one beyond return, and so it'll be 1st and 10 Minnesota at the 20-yard line. The first time, remember, Hoynesy tried a couple of passes, Terry, so he didn't work. You think he's going to keep that up?
I think he's going to try to run the ball a little bit, get a little better field position, but I really have to question Michigan on the last drive, 3rd down and 6, to try to run Wolfo down there when the real estate is really tough. You know, Smith has not been throwing the ball well, but you really have to go to the pass down there because you have Carter on the outside.
Cooper's the far side. He's the wide receiver in the deep threat for Hoynesy. Jacobs the tailback. Henry still the fullback. They pitch it to Jacobs. Jacobs trying to cut back over the middle, looking for an opening. Not much there. Trips up as he dives out maybe the 22. He'll get a short gain out of it, stopped by Paul Geargash, an inside linebacker, who had 10 tackles last year in the game against Minnesota, so perhaps he likes to play against the maroon and gold. Jacobs, who was injured, was a questionable starter as late as yesterday. He is the leading rusher for Minnesota this year, completed this game with 539 yards and a 5.2 average with 8 touchdowns. Wide left now is Weckbacker, and Cooper's to the right. Second about 8 and 22. Play action fake. Here's Hoynesy. Good time. Fires over the middle, incomplete. Intended that ball over here for Manny Henry out of the backfield. He had another man, Weckbacker, David Brian Carpenter, was covering right in the middle. Just was not a well-thrown ball.
It was not. I'll tell you, the last 3 passes that Hoynesy has thrown, though, Jim, it concerns me as he's throwing right into the smack of that zone. Now, you really have to go outside because Michigan is collapsing. There are 2 safeties in the middle, and there's a lot of people in that territory, so you really have to be cautious.
Hoynesy, who has thrown for over 1,200 yards this year and 10 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Minnesota has not scored a touchdown since October 10th, and since that date, Michigan has not allowed one. 10 quarters for the Wolverines defensively. Minnesota has gone scoreless in touchdowns for the last 8 quarters. Maybe took too long. Penalty flag drop. Delay of game will cost Minnesota 5 more yards. And the Golden Gophers have put themselves deeper in a hole on their second series. They were held here by Michigan from the opening kickoff, and the Wolverines took over the ball near their 40 and drove 62 yards to score of the field goal by Haji Sheikh. And now here's Minnesota again. You can see Mike Hoynesy. They call him the throwing Samoan. He is of Hawaiian descent. He has quite a resemblance to Jim Plunkett facially as you look at the Minnesota sideline. And Terry, there, the guy's giving the signals.
Yeah, we'll get into those signals a little bit later on here because it's really interesting how they do it.
3rd and 12. Michigan on the blitz.
Watch out.
There's Hoynesy going deep. He is coming for Cooper, and it is Cooper. Beautiful coverage here by Marion Spotty or Bostic. Who was it? I think it was Spotty was intended for Jacobs out of the backfield. Was Marion Spotty who went back there with Jacobs and broke it up at the 45-yard line. Incomplete pass. Boy, it looked like Jacobs had a chance to catch that ball after it was deflected.
You tell all your receivers to catch the ball at the high point. You don't let the ball fall into your arms. That time Body, hit it at the high point, but Jacobs has got to stop and go up for it.
Anthony Carter waiting. Here's Paul Blanchard, who's back in deep punt formation. There's Carter, who's always a threat to go anytime he touches the ball. Well, a nice punt into the wind by Blanchard. Carter has it on his 49. Coming toward the sideline. Looking for the blocking swing. Cuts up field 45-40. Carter back against the screen, but he's thrown under the 36. A nifty return, however, by the elusive Carter. And Michigan will have great field position. We'll be coming right back here to see how the Wolverines do in their second turn. It is Michigan 3, Minnesota 0. Smith back at quarterback with Wolfman and Edwards as running back. Dean and Carter the wide receivers. Tight end is Norm Betts, who just dips to the right side. It is Edwards the fullback. Countering back to the right side after a fake to Wolf, it goes to 31. Jim Farnhorst, the inside linebacker, made the stop for Minnesota, but it's a pickup of 5 for Stan Edwards, who now has passed the 2,000-yard mark in his career.
Jim, just an outstanding field position here for Michigan to put the ball up in the air. They're on about the 33-yard line. They have a lot of real estate. They have a lot of weapons, and second down and about 6 yards. Just a great time to throw the ball.
Well, they've got Carter on the wide side of the field. You can see Smith looking over that way. Play action. They're looking for Carter. Over the middle for Carter. Broken up. Great play by Glenn Cardelli. Cardelli, with that time, was able to stay with Carter one-on-one. Incomplete pass. It'll be third down, Michigan. Well, you called it, Terry.
The thing is, though, that Minnesota is really playing Carter for that post pattern. You saw Cardelli, outstanding defensive play there, but he's playing to the inside. Michigan's got to pick up on this, fake to the inside and run to the flag. There's a lot of room out there for Carter to work on.
Well, Norm Betts has just dropped the play in. They'll both come back on the sidelines, and they should be giving that word to Carter any moment. Carter's again up the wide side of the field, top of your screen. Down the bottom of 10 speed. Smith going to go again. Now Smith being chased and sacked. A rush by Mecklenburg. A big junior tackle from Medina, Minnesota, number 74, gets the first sack of the day for Minnesota. That's the 11th tackle this year that he's thrown back for losses, so he really specializes on breaking through there. And that was a big one.
And that's the best pass defense you can have. To have Mecklenburg break through there for the sack. Put the pressure on the quarterback.
Don Brackett in the punt for Michigan. Quinn Cardelli and Jack Schlichting are back from Minnesota. 14 is Cardelli, 27 is Schlichting. Brackett, who's the fifth leading punter in the United States, leads the Big Ten. Over 45 yards a kick, and here's one that is going to be taken on a sack catch to the 7 by Cardelli. And that'll put Minnesota very back in the hole. Well, as the Minnesota offense comes out, they'll be stuck back near their goal line. We'll remind you about next week. Ohio State will be coming right in here to Minnesota, Terry. So if things stand, we'll be back here for that game, and that should be another key game in the Big Ten. Clemson at North Carolina could well decide the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship at Chapel Hill. And Baylor will be at Arkansas, where the Razorbacks are a little bit hard to figure. They'll be Texas 1 week, and next week they'll come back and lose to somebody else. So that'll be the lineup for ESPN next week here on your All Sports Network. Back in the hole now for Minnesota. And they give it off to the fullback, but I don't think, not Jacobs. Jacobs the tailback. Maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that'll be about all. There's the signaling, Terry.
Second down and 9 on the 8-yard line.
1 yard gain. There are the signals, Terry, from the quarterback.
I'll tell you, once you have a team backed up like this, there's such a good pressure, on the Michigan defense here because they can go all out. They realize that Minnesota's going to run the ball.
Gain of 1, second down and 9 for Hornsby. Fullback Henry, the first man, plunges up over the 10-yard line. Tony Osborne brings him down around the 11 or 12-yard line. Henry, just a freshman, moved ahead of Bob Straup, who had been switched to tailback when they saw that Jacobs would not start the game. Now the signaling there.
Okay, both the number 2 quarterback and the number 3 quarterback, they'll both give signals. That way, there's no way that Michigan can pick up on it. And, they're told the first signal they give is the hot signal, which means the one the quarterback should, which quarterback you should watch, either second team or third team quarterback.
That saves the time of trying to shuttle a player in every time if you want to send the plays in the sideline. Now the give is off to fullback Henry, fighting the left side. He's not going to make the first down. Stop short of the 15-yard line. Mike Limeron, outside linebacker for Michigan, hit him. The Wolverines will get the ball again, and Minnesota's still looking for its first down of the game as this Michigan defense has just been smothering Minnesota in the first quarter. Michigan leads the game by a score of 3-0.
Ohio State 24, Purdue 17.
Paul Blanchard and the punt will be standing on his end zone, and Anthony Carter, who's a package of dynamite, is waiting for Michigan. Blanchard, a sophomore from right here near Minneapolis, from Minnesota, actually, in the St. Paul. Good run! Flag down. Nothing the kicker. Carter. That catch has no meaning because Minnesota is going to get a break on this one. Michigan tried to block the punt. Jerry Burguy, I think, is the guy who ran into the punter Blanchard. And watch it, Terry.
If you touch the ball, you can hit the kicker. You see Blanchard gets the ball away, clean kick. Now here comes the too many guys. Say, it's not No, I don't think it's very sound football to try to block a kick in the end zone like that. They're backed up like that because you're going to end up with great field position anyway. And if you do end up blocking a kick, you may go out of the end zone and you only get 2 points. You know, so get the good field position and use your explosive offense.
Jerry Burgeye is the man, number 15. He's a defensive halfback from Ottawa, Ohio. And his aggressive play, and he'll never be criticized for that by coaches probably, but there's a signal now, the referee, Richard McVeigh. It gives Minnesota its first down. It comes by penalty. Minnesota this year, there you can see, they started their first 3 games with wins. Those were big ones before they lost to Illinois. Then they defeated Northwestern, losing to Indiana. That was a big one, of course, for them. But then the big win of the year against Iowa last week. Now Hoynesy with room. Hoynesy got a man open. Fires. It is caught by Jacob. Out of the backfield over the 35-yard line. Paul Kiergash hits him down. And that'll be the first completion of the day by Hoynesy. Frank Jacobs, who was questionable until yesterday because of a deep thigh bruise he suffered against Indiana. How'd you like that pattern there, too?
I really like it because what Minnesota did was they took advantage of what Michigan was giving them. They were in a deep zone. They just rendered your halfback out there, get him the ball, let him run with the ball, and picked up 8.5 yards on the play.
All right, second down, only about 2 to go here for Minnesota. It's the best field position they've had thus far. Henry and Jacobs behind Hoynesy. They give it the first guy, Henry, and he runs into a stonewall, still on his feet, and he'll be taken down for a loss. Michigan defense is really tough. Keith Bostic, a strong safety, smelled that play in a hurry and got into the act right at the line of scrimmage. And they drop Henry for a loss. And now brings up a crucial 3rd down play for Minnesota. The offense is yet to score a first down. They did get a break on the penalty a moment ago, roughing the kicker. Now Hoynesy has set Weckbecker to the left, and he's got his home run guy, Chester Cooper, at the short side of the field at the top of your screen. Play action, take the fullback. Hoynesy, plenty of time. Hoynesy lobs out the right side. Oh, and it's caught by Jacob. Jacob over the 45, first and 10 Minnesota. Paul Kiergash made the stop, and that ball was just laid up there for Jacob to run under.
Now, what you're going to see, Paul Kiergash, number 50, come into the play. You see he has great coverage on Jacobs, but it was just an outstanding throw. Just laid it over his head. Anytime you can get a linebacker one-on-one with a running back, you have the advantage to lay it out there. Your running back will come up with a 9 out of 10 times.
Hoynesy, a junior college All-American out of the California ranks from Roland Heights, California, has now hit 2 in a row. First and 10 at the Minnesota 45. The pitch is back to Jacob. Jacob around the left, turns the corner to 50. Down to the Michigan 28-yard line. Again, it's Kiergash. Jacob giving Minnesota a little bit of punch now in the backfield. The Wolverines have been hurt defensively with the losses, but Minnesota been hurt with running backs. They lost Marville Ross last week. Tony Hunter, the brilliant young freshman's been out, and Jacobs has been injured from the Indiana game, but now he is back and running well. There's Kiergash, who's probably made at least 4 or 5 tackles already in this game. Second down and 5. Minnesota in Michigan territory for the first time today at the 49. Here's Hoynesy. Hoynesy, a quick spot pass is hit over here to Cooper. And Cooper makes his first catch down to the 40, and that'll be another first down in Minnesota. Tony Jackson has 3 interceptions this year, but he couldn't get that one. He did get the tackle, and it's first and 10 Gophers.
And again, Jim, good basic football. The cornerbacks are playing off, and the quarterback just raised up and got the ball out to Cooper. You know, these are good plays. You know, if your running attack is not moving, get the ball out to the wide receivers, pick yourself up 4, 5, 6 yards. That time it's first down.
Hoynesy at 85 out of 174 coming in, almost 50%. And now he's clicking for the first time today with Michigan leading 3-0. Give it a fake, and here's Hoynesy rolling. Good fake. Fires downfield. Caught down here beautifully by Henry. The freshman fullback inside the 35 of Michigan. Mike Bourne, an inside linebacker, makes a stop, number 40. Watch the play of Hoynesy.
And this is what you're going to have to do. He's going to have to roll out with the ball because he doesn't want to sit back in the pocket all day long because Michigan's going to put a lot of pressure on him. That time he catches number 37, Manny Henry. Just an outstanding catch, one-handed catch.
Gain of 8 on the play. Terry in his second down and 2, and this is the best-looking offense that we've seen out of Minnesota by far.
Jim, it's the best field position they've had all day.
Down the Michigan 32-yard line. Hoynesy pitches the ball back to Jacob, trying to cut back. Swarmed over and thrown for a loss. Tony Osmond led the charge from defensive left end, And that's the 9th time this year that Osborne has gotten through to throw it back for a loss. So he's kind of the counterpart of Carl Mecklenburg. Last time, Minnesota won over Michigan. So last time Michigan was shut out. That was the 16-0 game when Michigan was ranked #1 in the country, 1977. It was a big play, Terry, from Minnesota. 3rd and 5. No blitz. Hornsey with time. Hornsey fires down the right side. Dropped by Henry. Henry, the freshman, had a chance to catch that ball. Whether he made a first down or not, I don't know, because in hot pursuit that time was number 94, Jim Herman.
I mean, it's good throw by Honesty, right on the money. Last time he caught the ball one-handed. This time it was right in the breadbasket and missed it.
Paul Blanchard will be sending the punt now. He'll try to put Michigan in a deep hole. They're not quite in the range of Jim Gallery, although Gallery has been a great surprise. Gallery's going to try one. Well, he's going to try 52 yards.
I don't think he's going to kick it. I think he's going to be a little razzle-dazzle because he's going into a pretty good wind here, about 15 miles an hour.
He kicked a 57-yarder, but he is going just to win. Nope, he's going to give it a go. It's going to be way short. Down the end zone. That ball will be brought back out now on the line of scrimmage, which is the 35-yard line, and Michigan's going to get pretty good field position out of that, and I don't know about that decision.
No, I think, either a little razzle-dazzle on the kick, or put your quarterback in there and let him throw the ball, because Hohenstein has been hitting his back to getting those 5 yards.
Okay, Michigan gets the ball, leading by 3-0. Just to go in the first period. Michigan leads 3-0. Michigan takes over the ball again. Same backfield in there. Smith, Edwards, and Wolford for Michigan. Now here's a play action fake. Smith going down the middle, and there's Carter takes it up to 45 in Minnesota territory. A beautiful down and out sideline pattern. Rick Willis was there, but he was hand-tied by the great pattern run by Carter.
And Minnesota is rolling up the defense on him. The safety, number 42, Andre Harris, is coming up for the short zone, but there's a dead spot is right in between him, and you can't find a better throw by Smith than that. And it's a very good pattern by Carter, because what he did, he went down, he put a move to the inside, stuck the safety, and then came back to the outside.
He's had catches now in 16 consecutive ball games. Anthony Carter, a surefire All-American for this year, without a doubt. First down play for Michigan. Play action again by Smith. To the left side. Carter's there. Takes it at the 30. Breaks the tackle. Down the sideline. Out of bounds and around the 17-yard line by Glenn Cardelli.
I say that time Minnesota gambled, because they figured, I guess they figured that Michigan would not throw the ball 2 times in a row because they had one-on-one coverage out there, Glenn Cardelli. And there's no way in the world you can cover Anthony Carter with one man. They had trouble to play before, Jim, covering with 2.
Well, Michigan got the ball in pretty good field spot after the missed field goal at the 30-yard line, and in 2 big plays, they have rolled with Smith hitting Carter, and now they're at the Minnesota 17, 1st and 10. Carter, who's now caught 3 passes to 70 yards. And again, up the middle, Stan Edwards, the fullback. Bucks down around the 10. Rick Woodhouse, the safety. Looks like the first man was there to hit him.
And when you start throwing that ball, it really opens up your running game, because you get that defense a little leery out there, thinking pass. Now they're going to run big fullback Edwards up the middle.
And it's going to be 2nd down and 2. A gain of 8 on the play by Edwards. Edwards has gone over the 2,000-yard mark before his career here today. Has taken over the number 10 spot, the all-time record. And before the season's over, he should pass the legendary Tom Hunt.
Not bad company.
2nd down play. Here comes Smith. Looking, wants touchdown. Goes to side Edwards for the score. Stan Edwards out of the backfield, wide open. Rick Woodhouse is drawn in. Edwards got behind him, and Smith, who's on the money today, and that may spell a long afternoon for Minnesota as Michigan scores the first touchdown. Is now 9-0.
What really happened here, Jim, is that they took Anthony Carter out of the ballgame, brought another tight end in, so Minnesota's thinking run. That time Smith rolls out, and you see the linebacker just blew the coverage, and Edwards just walks in with the ball.
Ali Haji-Sheik is in the side of the point. B.J. Dickey will hold at the 10. Michigan leads 9-0. They'll try to go up 10-0. There was a good look at Stan Edwards, who scored a touchdown, his first of the year. Here's the snap, and the kick is through. So it is 10-0 now. Michigan trying to get a 6th victory in 8 games, leading the University of Minnesota with 29 seconds to go in the first period. And that was a very quick order for Michigan downfield.
I thought it was just an awesome drive by Michigan. And what really happened is, Smith is throwing the ball extremely well. Carter's running great pass patterns. He beat a double zone. He beat man-to-man coverage to give him 2 big gainers.
Ali Haji-Sheik remains on for the kickoff for Michigan, number 6. And back deep, freshman pair, Terry Glenn and Manny Henry. Bo Schembechler from the sidelines for Michigan. There's number 37, Manny Henry, who's averaged almost 26 yards of return, although Minnesota's had no chance today. Haji-Sheik took both kickoffs beyond return. One past the end zone, the other to the back line.
Say, if Ali has a sore leg, I'd like to see him on a good day.
Well, he was a questionable starter here today because he had missed the Northwestern game with a full thigh muscle. And they weren't sure he'd be able to kick. They had Bob Bergeron standing by. So, something magic for Haji-Sheik. And here goes again. The sailing kick will be returnable this time, and he's taken by Henry. Manny Henry dropped it. Now he's come up over the 10. And to the 15, not much more. So Henry's a little bit of a bobble, put him more in a hole, and he's at the 15-yard line. Jerry Burguy stopped him for Michigan. And Minnesota will have maybe time for a play or so here in the closing seconds of the first period. 10-0. 23 seconds to go in the quarter. Michigan leads Minnesota. They're fighting for the Little Brown Jug. It's been won 11 of the 12 years Bo Schembechler has coached Ann Arbor. Mike Poinsey still at quarterback. Manny Henry and Frank Jacobs still in the backfield. We may see some Walter Ross with Tony Hunter before the day's over, but not yet. Still Henry Jacobs. Poinsey getting it off to Henry. Fullback cutting back to his right. Gets 3 or 4 tough yards before Mike Boyne kills him around the 20-yard line. That should end the first period. We have 12 seconds to go in this counting, and they'll probably not get out of the huddle here at Memorial Stadium for this one. Minnesota sidelines. Golden Gophers are excited about the start they've had this year, winning 5 out of 7. A big one last week at Iowa, and there's the end of the first quarter. In Minneapolis on a beautiful day, it is Michigan 10 and Minnesota nothing. 500 coming up here on ESPN out of NASCAR's racing series. That'll be live on Sunday, November the 8th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:30 Pacific Time. ESPN's live NASCAR race features the Winston Cup stars. Darrell Waltrip just having a spectacular year down there. He's overtaken Bobby Allison. Looks like he's going to win the point championship with Junior Johnson, Terry. And these guys, they ask no quarter.
Say, very few people consider them athletes. But what they do in those cars is just phenomenal. Right. I have trouble driving on a freeway.
Say that again. Well, make sure that you mark that date down. Sunday, November 8th, live, 12:30 Eastern Time. The Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta. All the stars of NASCAR. Okay, the seats are the premium here, so they're looking for every spot available to watch this game today at the old Brick House, Memorial Stadium. And that crew is quite a long ways away, almost a block away. Right now, they're getting a glimpse of the action. If they move down the other end of the stadium, those folks will not be able to see. Bob Strapp now is in at tailback, replacing Jacobs. Henry remains. Nope, they're going to leave Jacobs in. There's a flare pass to Jacobs. Out of up to 20. Hits the tackle up to 25. Maybe have a first down. Paul Jugag is back there for Michigan. And watch this play to Jacobs.
So you're going to see Geargash, but also number 9, Carpenter, is going to come up and try to make the open field tackle on Jacobs. Misses Geargash, a nice form tackle. That's what you like to see, those linebackers making those kind of tackles in the open field.
It is a first down for Minnesota. So Strapp has come in as fullback, and Jacobs now putting at tailback. They're in the split back setup for one of the rare times. First and 10 Minnesota. Poinsey out of his backfield. He has hit Jacobs again. Short gain over the 30. Geargash one more time on the tackle. Boy, he's been all over the field today. This junior linebacker from Lakewood, Ohio. Leading tackler for Michigan for the season, and you can understand why just watching him here in the first half.
And this is exactly what Minnesota has to do in order to beat this Michigan defense. They got to try to nickel and dime them to death. Use the running play just as a nuisance play, just to keep the defense honest. But Poinsey's going to have a big day throwing the ball.
A quick glance there at Smokey Joe Salem, whose son is the backup quarterback here. And matter of fact, has been started. I hope Michigan might have been off side. There's a pitch to Jacobs. Penalty markers are down all over. Jacobs missed solidly at the 32 by Carlton Rose. But I think maybe that somebody jumped offside. Might have been Rose. Oh, he made the tackle. Could have been Lemeron at the other side or Clay Miller the end. Somebody was moving for Michigan. Offsides against Minnesota. Well, it was Minnesota that drew him off.
Well,
now they changed it. So it was Michigan. Joe Salem, who played here on the national championship team of 1960, that went to the Rose Bowl under Murray Warmoth, then coached out at South Dakota for 9 years, Northern Arizona for 4 more, had a great record there in the Division II, and now he's come back home to lead the Wolverines and stays up against one of the all-time great winning coaches in Big Ten history, Bo Schembechler, who played for Woody Hayes at Miami, Ohio, coached there for 9 years, but at Michigan, he has carved his niche, and only 2 active coaches have won more. And only Fielding Yost won more at Michigan.
Here's a waste down for Minnesota. Second down and less than a yard to go. And go for the bomb here, or just maybe just try to pick up the first down. I'd go for it.
Hoyensee doesn't want to. He gets the first down himself. Big fullback plunges with yards to spare as he goes to the 40-yard line. Ridden down there, Carlton Rose in the play for Michigan. And the bottom of the stack for the Wolverines looks like the number 40, Mike Bourne. Bourne, who was the ABC television player of the game against Notre Dame, had 80 tackles this year. He is second to Geargash, so those are 2 very active linebackers for Bo Schembechler. They spotted on the 39, first and 10, Minnesota.
They've been thrown from this formation before. Split back. Let's see what they do here.
Well, they got Cooper on the short side here to the right. Only one running back is south. They put Henry over the slot and hit them with the motion. Now they shift a little more. They got to hurry. Hoyensee wants the throw. There's a blitz. They got a man down by Cooper. Cooper first down near 50. Brian Carpenter on the hip, but Cooper went down and hooked in open, and that was a beautiful route by Chester Cooper, leading receiver for Minnesota.
And it's a good philosophy. Carpenter's playing off about 10 to 12 yards. Take that little short, 10-yard route there because he's got to give Cooper a lot of respect. He's got to back off. Got him in man-to-man coverage, short side of the field. That's there all day long.
Cooper holds the all-time record of Minnesota. Now over 600 yards in receiving this year. Closing in on the all-time reception mark set by Ron Kellis in 1975. Here's another throwaway down. Oh, they take a blitz, a pickup, and Hoyensee gets the first down. That's how to turn a busted snap into an advantage.
Shows good savvy by Hoyensee. You realize he made the mistake, dropped the football, there was something between the center and quarterback at that point.
That will be first down Minnesota. They're back in Michigan territory for the second time today. At the 49-yard line, Jay Carroll, number 83, brought the play in there from Joe Salem. Here's Hoyensee, who actually beat out Tim Salem back in the preseason for the quarterback spot. And he's been outstanding. Hoyensee pitches it back here to Jacobs. Jacobs looking for the opening that doesn't happen. Mike Bourne came underneath and closed the gap. So Bourne really closed it down, and here's the look at it.
Look at Delafleur here. I mean, just outstanding. But if you're going to run to the outside, you got to get that form. You got to get to the outside, then just twist them in. That time, just outstanding. That's where that form tackling. They're going to run that play back 5-10 times in the film session. Bet on that one.
At the Michigan 48, the gain of a yard. It'll be second down and 9 for Mike Hoyensee and the Minnesota Gophers. They trail 10-0 here with white-clad Michigan in the lead. Hoyensee back there quickly. Good protection. Hoyensee.
Watch out.
Oh, great coverage over there by Ken Bostic. That was intended for Jake Carroll, the tight end. And Bostic was right on him. Could have intercepted the ball.
Okay, now here's the signal. The 2 backup quarterbacks, second and 13. They're going to flash the plays into Hoyensee. See, each of them giving a different signal. Look at that. Oh, my God. He's got to be in good shape just to do that.
It'll be third down and 8 at the third down and 9 at the 48-yard line. They got the 1-yard gain on first down, incomplete pass. Now Hoyensee Passing situation. He wants the eye and the backfield with Jacobs and the tailback. Brown is the fullback. Rolling out. That's what he wanted, the protection away from the split. There's the fire. Incomplete and interference. That'll be on Carpenter. Had his hands all over the receiver. Another break here for Minnesota, but Carpenter obviously had contact with Chester Cooper before the ball arrived. It'll be a first down for Minnesota around the Michigan 35-yard line.
Cooper's been doing that route all day long. You know, this time number 9, Carpenter, said he's not going to do it this time. Try to get a little closer coverage on him and come up with the interference.
Good, strong safety blitz that time. A safety blitz by Chase Bostic. And I think Owens called the right place there because he had him rolling out. Might get him away from the blitz a little bit.
Yeah, if you get that pressure up the middle, whether it's a good pass rush or a blitz, you got to get to the outside because there's no way to pick that up because there's no one to pick up that safety. This is just uncovered.
Nick Davidson now is coming over Chester Cooper. Weckbacker and Davidson are the wide receivers. They've got now again you see Hornsby moving his set back around. Hornsby straight back this time. Hornsby fires the sidelines and it is caught. Oh, it's dropped. Incomplete. No argument there by Jacobs. But the official was right on the play. So he must have slapped it.
Again, trying to isolate the running back on the linebacker. You know, good philosophy. Let's see what Jacobs does here. The ball here, pulls it in, drops to the ground, picks it up real quick, but not quick enough. Guys in his stretch made the right call.
That's a beautiful call. He's right on top of the play. Good job here by Richard McVay and his team. 2nd and 10. Hornsby, very strong arm passer from Minnesota. Has the goalpost moving. Hornsby fires it. Man, caught here at the 21-yard line by Weckbacker. Ron Weckbacker, number 19, hauls it in over Brian Carpenter's coverage. And it's 1st and 10 Minnesota at the Michigan 23-yard line.
Okay, you got to give a lot of credit to that offensive line. Look at that pocket. Hohenty stays in there strong. Weckbacker drove his man off, came down, and what he did there to make that play successful is he came back towards the quarterback. He didn't allow a defensive man to step in between him and the quarterback. Nice pattern by Weckbacker.
All right, Davidson replaces Weckbacker now. Davidson and Cooper, the wide receivers. Tailback here is Jacobs in the eye. Hornsby's the man of the hour, though, and he's taking the play action rolling. Hornsby being rushed, fires the end zone. There is Cooper. It's incomplete. Intended for Cooper, and Carpenter was covered. Well, Hornsby wanted all of it there, but that was just super coverage by number 9, Brian Carpenter, who's coming off a sprained ankle. And starting today, Carpenter didn't get his starting call until this morning. That decision was made by Bo Schembechler's staff, and he's had quite a day. But so has Mike Hornsby so far, 8 out of 16, 66 yards.
So far, Minnesota's done an outstanding job protecting Hornsby. I think he's only had pressure maybe 1 or 2 times. I'll tell you, this play was not a bust, because what this tells Michigan is that, hey, we are going to go deep sometimes. They better stay loose back there.
Cooper at the top of your screen, spin to the left, out the right, Ron Weckbacker. Hornsby, no doubt, will be going to the air. 2nd down, play rolling. Hornsby got time. Hornsby fires up the middle, incomplete. And interference called again. Jay Carroll, tight end, hit by Evan Cooper. And that's quite a tough break for Michigan because Hornsby was way off the mark for that call, that pass. Cooper called for holding, and it will be 1st and goal, I believe, for Minnesota.
And I'll tell you, Jim, I think a very great call because, you know, Hornsby was way off the mark there. If there was any contact, it was just a mere brush. And Cooper, I mean, he could be the GOAT on this play, but I'll tell you, you really can't get down on the kid for that play because it was, you know, I consider a bad call by the officials.
Penalty is down to the 5. It is 1st and goal, Minnesota to Michigan 5, and Michigan's defense has not allowed a touchdown in 10 quarters. Now being set by Minnesota with 10 and a half minutes to go in the first half. Well, there's Schembechler, little peeved over that one, but here's Minnesota with a golden opportunity to score. And they give it to Jacobs. Coming to the right side, touch pass, goes to the 3. Mike Bourne stopping Frank Jacobs. The 240s meet at the Michigan 3 for a pickup of 2 yards, and that's all Minnesota needs here. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 3-yard line.
I look for Michigan to use Hohenty, get him outside of containment, give him the run-pass option there. You got a lot of field to the left-hand side, let him get out there because he has the speed and he can run the football.
That was the 5th penalty on Michigan for 63 yards. Now this proud Michigan defense being threatened to be scored on for the first time since October the 10th. And now they give it again to Jacobs, and he is sacked hard at the line of scrimmage. Jacobs got little, if anything, on that play. The first hit by Keith Bostic and then Paul Kiergag. Strong safety and a linebacker, and now we think we'll see Hoynesy perhaps go to the air.
Well, he has to here. I would have done it on a second down because, you know, you have to use a little element of surprise here.
There's the Michigan defense. You know, last year they didn't give up a touchdown the last 5.5 games. They haven't allowed one down in 2.5 games. Here's the third down, goal to go. Here comes Carroll in motion. Hoynesy, play action. Hoynesy looks. Hoynesy's got room to run. Hoynesy scores. Touchdown for Minnesota. Well, the streak is over for the Michigan defense. Mike Hoynesy back to pass. Everybody covered. Right, an outstanding young man this is from Roland Heights, California. He played well here in the second half. He's brought Minnesota back now within 4 points. It is 10-6. And on the side of the point after Jim Galloway. Galloway didn't miss last year. He's on a hot streak again. Weckbacker will hold at the 10. Quick and Galloway busts it through there. The 7th point for Minnesota. The lead now is back to the 3-point field goal kicked by Hudgy. And so Minnesota is on the boards, and we've got a different looking game now with 9:15 to go in the half, 10-7. Hey, Terry Hadley.
And Jim, when you're down in goal line defense, the only man that is uncovered by the defense is the quarterback. So you've got to roll him out. He has the ability to run the ball. If the defense drops back to cover the pass, do exactly what Mike Hoynesy did right there.
Well, that's great effort, wasn't it, on the end of that run? He just split 2 defenders of Michigan to score the first time in 10, 11 quarters now that the Michigan defense has given up a touchdown. Not since October 10th had the Michigan defense had been scored on. That was against Michigan State. But Minnesota's done it here. Anthony Carter is back to Houston.
Even more important than that, Minnesota has not scored a touchdown in an awful long time.
That's right. Breaks the long string. They've gone 8 quarters without scoring a touchdown of their own. So 2 streaks ended. Anthony Carter standing for Steve. There's Edwards, number 32. Carter, of course, number 1. Taking off Jim Galloway from Minnesota. Booming kick, very high. Even in zone, and he's down there by Edwards. And Michigan now will start from the 20-yard line. First and 10. And we have not a brand new game, but it's certainly 10-7. A different complexion now as Minnesota has gotten back in the competition here with 9 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the first half. Capacity crowd here of over 50,000 at Memorial Stadium for today's game. And what a finish we're going to have in the Big Ten this year, and it's not going to be decided for another few weeks. Michigan won it last year, won the Rose Bowl over Washington, and they'd like to repeat. They have those 2 big losses. Wolfpack at the tail behind the pitch. Here comes Anthony, and and a fake flags are going everywhere. And now the break for Michigan. That's the first time today they called the end around, but it was stopped on illegal procedure.
And the bad part about that, Jim, is you can only run that play out maybe twice a game at the most. And to use it and have a penalty before you can even get it started, because I'll tell you what, they had a heck of a wall out there set for Anthony Carter. And with his ability, no telling what he can do with the ball.
Well, Anthony, who has 27 career touchdowns, is always a threat. He's scored every 7 times he's touched the ball, and it's a career Michigan. There's the penalty situation. That's the 6th against Michigan. Well, Michigan kind of hurting itself a little bit, especially on that play. Penalized back to the 15. Bo Schembechler really growling along the sidelines now. Carter has been replaced by Bean. Brent Harms is now on the defense for Minnesota, a right tackle replacing Mecklenburg. Here's the option, roll out, run by Smith. Smith's going to run it. Smith along the sidelines, gets back close to the 20, and then he's pounded over the sidelines there.
That was called a quarterback sweep because there was no receiver downfield. They were just out there. Smith made a little fake like he was going to throw the ball, but there wasn't anybody down there. That was run all the way.
Got back to the 20, so they picked up the yards lost from the penalty. And it's 2nd and 10. Here comes Carter now back on the field. Well, we'll see now if that reverse is called again today. They love to bring Carter from his wide spot. Now they put Carter out to the wide side of the field, which indicates it probably won't come here. They love to have Carter to the boundary. Now here they're looking for Carter. Here's the square out pass. Carter takes it and put down immediately short of the first down. Then Cardelli makes a stop, but it's going to be third down and 1 at the 29-yard line. Carter a little down and out. Almost had to give him that play because of his deep for a great speed.
And what you're going to see Carter run this out continually, pick up the 8 to 10 yards. Then you're going to see the cornerback Cardelli, and all of a sudden he's going to bite on, and that's the time Carter's going to go down the field on.
Carter goes to the top of the screen. Michigan only looking for a yard here now with Butch Wolford and the tailback and Stan Redford. That fullback gives them a great 1-2 punch. They give it to Edwards, and he is hit at the 30. It's going to be close. Jim Sponhorst, an inside linebacker for Minnesota. It just depends on where they spot the ball. They put it on the 30. It's going to be first down for Michigan. Wolford just barely made it at the 30-yard line. Remember, they started on the touchback of the 20. That's been an interesting ball game. Michigan in the first period, and Minnesota's come back in the second quarter. Anthony Carter out to the right. The left is Vince Dean. The tailback is Wolford. Boy, Michigan really has the guns in its arsenal for this season. They give it to Wolford. Wolford to the left side, gets away, and now he's taken down hard at the 30-yard line. Rick Whithouse, the safety man, got him. After Wolford was hit first, the line of scrimmage looked like he'd be stopped for no gain, but then he made his own play.
And we mentioned about Michigan's outstanding offensive line. And, this one really does it for Wolford. Betts, the tight end, you see him right there, number 82, outstanding block on the linebacker. And it really loosens them up, especially when you put Carter to the wide side of the field. Then you run Wolford back to the short side of the field. You know which way these guys are going to go. See, I'd double cover Carter even in the locker room.
Well, Carter's out the top of your screen to your left. And here's Smith back and looking. Pressure on down the middle. It goes to Bean. Incomplete. Bean on a deep post. Then Cardelli was staying with him. The ball's overthrown. Incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 5 at the 35-yard line. Clock goes 7 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the half. And it's 10-7. Michigan leads by 3. Field goal open the scoring by Haji Sheik. Another touchdown by Michigan. Minnesota came back to end Michigan's long scoreless streak. Score its own. Hornsby on a keep. Mecklenburg back in the defense for Minnesota. Smith got time. Smith fires, and it is incomplete. Intended for Bean. Bean covered deep, lost his footing, but the pass is thrown wide and out of bounds.
I tell you, don't really fault Smith on this one. This is really an outstanding pass. Number 27, Bean, falls down. This is a timing pass. The ball has to be put in the air. And that's not the initial fall. He had a slip before that.
I'll tell you,
that's the second effort for the ball right there.
Greg Nettles would have had that one, Terry.
I believe he would have on the hot corner.
That's right. Here's Don Brackett at punt. Cardelli and Schlichting are waiting for Minnesota. Braxton has an outstanding punting year going for Michigan. Over 45 yards a kick, and this is not a good one. Jump down short, and it's getting a great Michigan bounce, though. Inside the 25, inside the 20, and down to the 19. Boy, Michigan forced it there as Braxton kicked it short, but it bounced deep. It'll be Minnesota's ball now. The score, Michigan leads 10-7. 81 yards away from getting toward the lead, or maybe trying to get back to give Jimmy Jowry a chance to tie here with a lot of time. Almost 7 minutes left in the first half. Hornsby's going to stand out for Minnesota. And their quarterback gives to his fullback. Henry slams the left side. Penalty flag thrown. Henry is hit by Clay Miller. And now let's see if we got a face mask or holding. Was tossed right into the sack, and it looks like it's going to be against Minnesota. Gophers are sensing that penalty's going to be upcoming against them, and now watch the signal here from Richard McVeigh. It is holding against Minnesota. That'll cost the Gophers. That kind of tips the scales a little bit more back toward evening things up here in penalties that have gone heavily against Michigan in the first half. There's the Gophers. Golden Gophers is a name that goes way back in Minnesota history. Matter of fact, goes back in the 1800s. Way before this school even had a football team. Came out of some political shenanigans that saw Minnesota named as the Gopher State. And then they became Golden Gophers here several years ago under the great Bernie Bierman. Back at the 11, it is 1st and 20, 1st and 18. Draw play.
All right.
That one, Henry to 20. 25-yard line. Henry, great football. Over the 30 for first down. Wickbacker, a great block, and he sprung Henry loose. Carlton Rose put him out of bounds, but not before a first down. A brilliant call and a great execution by Minnesota.
I'll tell you what, when you're a passing team, you have to have the draw in your arsenal because that defense, as you saw, everybody's backing up into their deep zones. That time, Henry, number 37, took some good moves on himself, got some good blocks from his friend downfield. It's just an outstanding call by Minnesota.
Only a freshman from Evanston, Illinois, Manny Henry, and the best run of the ball game for the Golden Gophers. Now let's see if Hoynesy goes to work with better field position. Play action rolling. Hoynesy being chased. Hoynesy's got the speed of his own. Fires on the go. Caught on a tight end Carroll at the 50-yard line. It's another first down for Minnesota. Lemoran was putting pressure on Hoynesy that time, but on the run he got the pass off to Carroll, and he completes it for another first down.
I'll tell you, give Mike Hoynesy all the credit in the world, Matt, because he just completed probably the toughest pass a quarterback can do. Rolling out to his right and having to throw the ball across his body into the middle of the field and hit Carroll.
Frank Jacobs now comes on, and I think Michigan wants to stop. Minnesota wants a timeout. They stop the clock. Still 6 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the first half. Walter Ross is coming in the field for the first time for Frank Jacobs for Minnesota. And here are the Golden Gophers back in Michigan, or rather the ball's right at the 50, maybe nose the Michigan territory. There's the story. Michigan 10, Minnesota 7. The winner of this game is still going to be very much in the thick of the Big Ten race. Now Jacobs is going to go out. He's the leading rusher for Minnesota. He had a deep thigh bruise, which he suffered against Indiana. It could have been re-damaged here in this game. Leading scorer and leading rusher for Minnesota. Played pretty well here in the first half. Now he's been replaced by Walter Ross, who's a speedster, 9'7" sprint star, junior from St. Petersburg, Florida. There's Chester Cooper, number 43. He's coming wide right. Let's see what Hoynesy does on first down. Play action. Hoynesy. Hoynesy fires down the left side. It is broken up and intercepted by Michigan. Keith Bostic, a strong safety, intercepts, first interception of the game, intended for Wickbacker. And that time, Hoynesy lost his magic, and Bostic, from double coverage, it looked like he flew into a crowd, Terry.
Jim, I mentioned earlier, I'll tell you, Hoynesy's been threatening a little bit down there, throwing the ball into the double coverage, and that time they had Wickbacker. He was just, double covered. We'll see it here coming up. There's going to be a man in front, a man in back. And that's, my friends, you don't throw the ball there. Number 13, Keith Bostic, comes up with a good interception, keeps his feet in bounds like a receiver.
And now it's Michigan's ball. At the Michigan 25-yard line, they stopped the drive that had gone about 30 yards from Minnesota. And here's Steve Smith with his crew. Back Smith getting off to Edwards coming outside. Edwards breaks a couple of tackles, and then he goes down under a swarm, and there goes the penalty flag down. Lynn Seflevich, the first man to hit Smith, and then a late flag thrown, and maybe against Michigan. Could be clipping here, which was up beyond the play. And that'll be another tough break for the Wolverines because that play was over for all intents and purposes. Watch the referee, Richard McVeigh. Personal foul, Michigan.
Oh, there's Bo.
That might have been a late pile on the offensive team, which is kind of unusual. Hey, well, you know how Bo feels about it. He just put his vote in as being the other way. We'll leave it at that. I tell you, when Bo played, he probably saw his coach go out on the field a time or two, wouldn't you think?
Woody Hayes did that occasionally.
Occasionally. Back at the 14, but two great coaches they were, coming out of the cradle of coaches, Miami of Ohio, that's produced the likes of Paul Brown, Red Blake, Paul Diesel, Ara Parsegian, and the list goes on and on. Dick Rick Crum now doing a great job in North Carolina, came from Miami. Carmen Kaiser and so many, many more, including Bo Schembechler. And here's his Michigan team back in a hole now. 2nd and 20. Throw back, fake, beat by Smith. Smith the quarterback. Going to get very little. Jim Farnhurst did a super job in pursuit, so did Jimmy James. And they stopped Steve Smith with only minimal damage as he advances it out maybe to the 18-yard line.
And Jim, Minnesota at that time had a perfect defense. There's Butch Wolf for the day, 5 yards for 12 carries. I'll tell you what, he's a lot better back than that, and he's got to be a big factor in this ballgame if Michigan's going to get out of the hole.
Well, I think Minnesota's really been keying on Butch today, Terry.
Oh, you have to. You really have to. I mean, he's an outstanding running back, and they're going to have to use number 1 out there a little more, Anthony Carter.
Well, they've got Lawrence Ricks, who's a great back in his own right, in replacing Wolford. So Ricks is now the tailback.
Don't sell Rick short.
There's the fake, and now here's Smith. Good time. Over the middle. And he has got his man. It is caught. Woodhouse making the stop. That will be close to first down, but may just miss again. Another stop by Vince Bean was the receiver, by the way. Watch this beautiful delivery by Smith.
And they rolled the whole defense to Carter that time. Not a pretty pass, but it got on right on the money to Bean. And you're going to have to do this. You know, take the pressure off Carter a little bit, take the pressure off Woolfolk. Get Bean involved because he's an outstanding receiver. He hits the ball over the middle, he can go deep to it.
Was the first down. Now Woolfolk comes back in the game. Woolfolk in. Lawrence Ricks out. So Woolfolk again is the tailback with Edwards at full. Here's Smith, number 16. Anthony Carter is up the top of the screen to the right. They albatross play to Woolfolk, and again Marshall is waiting for it. Boy, Woolfolk has been a shattered man today. Kevin Kellen, the left tackle, the first man to break through. 258 pounds, 6'6" in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Loss is back to the 32. A loss of 5. So Woolfolk is down to what? About 7 yards net now on the day. Oh, that's really unusual for Butch. 138 yards a game he is averaging this year. Second and long yardage again for Smith. Takes the fullback. Here comes the option. Smith has room. Smith turns the corner. Breaks the tackle. Watch out! 35 from behind at the 30-yard line. Rick Woodhouse stopped the touchdown play by Smith, who almost broke in the distance. And as he turned the corner, he really had running room.
I'll tell you, I mentioned before, Smith has a 4-5 speed in the 40. This time, a good quarterback, he's got to realize that they had the man out there on Woolfolk. Now turn upfield. Now he's got to realize that he's going to have a little contact downfield, so hang on to that football. And just an outstanding move right here to the inside. You see the defender come and knock the ball away. Luckily, it went out of bounds for Michigan.
Well, they said that he was stepped out of bounds at the 36-yard line. That's going to be Michigan's ball. Clock shows 3:10 to go in the first half. Michigan getting down at least close to field goal range. Here's a quick one out in the flat to Anthony Carter. Carter at the 30, turns on his feet, the outside, gets out of bounds on the 25-yard line. Andre Harris was there to make sure Carter didn't break it. Joe Salem now watching his defense being challenged here by Michigan again. A little over 3 minutes to go in the half.
And I'll tell you, if I was a quarterback out there, I'd audible every time I saw Anthony Carter with one-on-one coverage. I'd audible to that play. Because he's going to get you 8-10 yards. He could break it to the outside. There's a little late hit there.
Yep, that was out of bounds. You got a good look at it on the replay. Carter was hit after he crossed the boundary, and that's going to go against Minnesota. So Michigan will be a first down, and it'll be half the distance, run on the 12-yard line. And Michigan now with an opportunity to score again here in the final minutes of the first half. They lead into, well, they put it down on the 14. Now the referee's going to change that. I thought they would go to 12. He's marked out of bounds on the 24. So the ball's down to about the 12-yard line. It's first and 10 there for Michigan. A little gloom gathering here on the Minnesota sidelines here as Michigan now comes roaring out of the hole. led by Steve Smith. He broke the long run from quarterback. He's accounted for 14 touchdowns this year, 7 passing, 7 running. Carter's down the left side. They got single coverage again here on Carter. Let's see what happens. Well, now they're setting up double coverage. Here's the pitch out to Wolfen. Wolfen trying to cut back that run. Inside the 10 and dives down to the 5. Butch Wolfen, his best run with a super tackle there by Glenn Seslevich that might have saved the touchdown. And when Wolfen changes gears, he can really go. Watch Seslevich, 34.
It really helps as they have double coverage on Anthony Carter, which takes a man away from pursuit. Now, what's number 26 man, Mike Robb? Goodbye to him. Wolfen just puts a great move. If you can get him outside with no containment, watch out, he's going to get you some yards.
All right, it's 2nd and 2 for Michigan. 4 yards to go for another touchdown. About 4.5, and motion goes Dunaway, and here is the give up the middle to Edwards. Fullback tries to find some running room. It's really tough to get it down here at the middle. Minnesota closes it down around the 3, and maybe a first down. Let's see.
It's a great position to be. 2nd and goal from the 5, and you're still, 2nd and 2, I should say. 2nd and 3 for a first down.
Jimmy James on the stop. Our referee, Richard McVeigh, wants the change brought into measure. Clock still 2:12 remaining in the first half. So Michigan stands at all probability of scoring something here, and at the moment, looks like they have a great opportunity to get at least to get a touchdown. Lead is 10-7. Just that much. Just that much. So the 3rd and inches. So now what's your call, Mr. Quarterback?
I'll give it to Edwards and let him run right over Becker's back.
Becker and Moransky, right?
Becker's just there. He's the captain of the football team, All-American, and just an outstanding guard.
Good candidate for the Heartland Trophy, wouldn't you say, number 65?
I would. I think he's going to be a great college player. I think he's going to be a great pro.
Well, here comes Smith in for word. I wouldn't be surprised. Bo leans a lot toward his guards, and he thinks maybe Becker could be the best he's ever had. Becker to the right side, the 65, 72 is Moransky. That's going to be Smith on a keep, and Smith is caught and thrown down for 2, but I think it's going to be a first down. Mike Pepe on a shoestring tackle. And Smith tried to fool the Minnesota defense, faking up the middle and then trying to skirt outside. Pepe played his position well. It looks like it'll be a first down. He's down to the 2-yard line. And it's so it'll be 1st and goal Michigan with 1:46 to go. Time could become an element if Michigan sticks to the ground. Say they don't get the score in the first 2 or 3 plays, then time should be running on. But the Wolverines have got 3 timeouts remaining. First down. No measurement needed. It's first down, Michigan. They've got 2 yards to go for a touchdown.
I don't think Bo's going to get fancy twice in a row.
Going to go to Edwards, right?
He's got 4 shots here to give him, put it in.
Edwards and Wolf. Well, that's a great 1-2 punch running. Bo runs it in. Well, it goes back to his days under Woody Hayes, and that would lean toward the conservative style of play, and it's paid off well for Michigan over the years. Bo probably making a little more rapid rather, especially with guys like Carter. Wolfett and Edwards right behind Smith. Smith looking end zone, touchdown. Caught in there by Edwards, the fullback. Let's see who it is. It's Edwards, Stan Edwards, the fullback. Gets the touchdown, his 2nd one today. And nobody touched it.
Everybody in the stadium, including this booth here, thought it was going to be a run. And that time Edwards just stuck out in the flat, and everybody, the linebackers, the safeties were all up there to try to stop the run. And Bo did do a little razzle-dazzle twice in a row.
All right, 16-7 now, Michigan leading. Haji Sheik is in to try for the point after. Holding will be B.J. Dickey. Dickey's a quarterback. If you ever wanted to try for 2 points, they got tools there, but you don't expect it here. Going for the 10-point lead, Michigan. Snap. The kick is up. And it's good. And so Michigan has increased this lead back to 10 points. Answering Minnesota's score here in the 2nd period. The score now, Michigan 17, Minnesota 7. Back now for the kickoff from Michigan. Wolverines into a 10-point lead for the second time today. They led 10-0, and now it is 17-10. Terry Glenn, Manny Henry waiting. There's number 37, Henry. Terry Glenn, number 8, back there with him also. Haji Sheik, who the other kickoffs he's had, put the ball out of play in the end zone. Then he kicked one that was returned by Henry, and now he must kick into the wind for the first time. 10 plays, 74 yards, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. That was the scoring drive for Michigan. The Wolverines still have plenty of offensive punch, and they responded well after giving up their first touchdown in 10 quarters to Minnesota. Part of the crowd, there's a look at the scoring drive we told you. 3 minutes and 38 seconds, 74. The big run was Smith on the quarterback keep that put them down deep. And then Smith threw for the touchdown. His 8th touchdown pass of the year. Haji Sheik's kickoff will be returned. It is Henry at the 2. Or the 10. 15. He runs right into the arms of a Michigan tackler, and he is taken down. That was number 44, I believe, John Lott, who made the stop for Michigan. And Haji Sheik's kickoff is returned for the second time. Carlton Rose was there to make the hit along with John Lott, and so it is Minnesota at its own 16. First and 10. The clock shows 1:13 to go, and we can look for Mr. Hohensee. You think, Terry, to get the air?
He's going to put that ball up. So let's see, we've got 1 minute and 13 seconds to go. With the split back, so that's your normal passing.
They got another draw, and it is a freshman again. This time, just the last dive was able to get anything out of the play. Mike Linderon diagnosed the play for Michigan. Made the hit with Tony Osmond. No huddle here for Minnesota. Time running out. We're inside the minute now with 52 seconds to go in the half. Michigan leads by 10. Hohensee with the tech. Hohensee fires down the right side. There's the man there. Incomplete. That was intended for Manny Henry, the fullback. Incomplete pass. That'll be third down, but good protection for Hohensee again, Terry.
He does an outstanding job of, staying in the pocket, and it really helps the offensive line because they know where he's going to be. There's a little pressure there, but, he really blacks out that pressure. And there you see the signals being waved from the sideline.
Number 6, by the way, is Todd Stout, and number 10 is Tim Salem, who's the son of head coach Joe Salem and was the starting quarterback here last year. Third down at 6. So you got to do something here. Up the middle, and they do. First down is hit to Jacob. Jacob on the 28-yard line, hit by Marion's body. That'll be a first down, Minnesota.
I'll tell you, Jim, that was an awful big first down. Because if they miss there, Michigan gets the ball in pretty good field position again.
35 seconds to go in the first half. Minnesota has time, but they must hurry. They'd like to get it down at least in range for Jim Gallery, and here Gallery would have the advantage of the win. Gallery, who had kicked 8 of his last 10 field goals before he missed one in the first quarter against the win, a 52-yard attempt. But now the win will be the other way for Minnesota. There's the Michigan team. Defensive huddle here around the coordinator, Bill McCartney. It's been a packed-up Michigan defensive team. They had 5 starters out today. Winford Carraway is a nose guard with an ankle injury. Defensive tackle Frederick Coles out with an ankle. 2 linebackers, Robert Thompson, who's had surgery on his hand, and Ben Needham, who has a knee injury, all missing action. And Brian Carpenter just returned today. And Jeff Shaw, who may have been a starter at a nose guard spot, is out for disciplinary reasons. So Michigan's great defensive unit of last year returned almost intact, but it has been riddled by injuries and other reasons. Hohensee, 10 out of 20, 95 yards. Pretty good stats there.
It really is. I think, he hasn't hit the big one yet. But he has 1 interception. He hasn't hit the big one, but he's been consistent in the short passes and moving the ball.
Got Weckbacker to the right and Cooper to the left. Cooper has not really been damaging so far. Here's Hohensee over the middle. He's hit his man. That's the tailback Jacob, but he stays in bounds. The clock continues to roll. 25 seconds to go. Jacob has been quite an asset in his return to the lineup for Minnesota. Giergas was the man on the tackle. They go without a huddle with 15 seconds to go in the half. Minnesota's got a strike on the hurry. They run the quick, open up the middle of fullback Henry. Henry trying to get out of the down, stop at the 45. That'll stop the clock with 7 seconds to go. Marion Body made the stop. They're not yet in field goal range. Minnesota calling time out here, so they have to go down the sideline, don't they, Terry, just to pick up 10 yards or so and try for the long field goal?
I think that was a gutsy call on their part because with the busting of the quarter end, you see Michigan huddling on the sideline here with their defense.
And the other side, the Minnesota offense. Joe Salem got 3 younger sons. An interesting story about one of his young sons became, at the Rose Bowl last year, became very close friends with Shimmy Schembecker, the son of Michigan's head coach, and the friendship grew to such a point that Shimmy is visiting the Salem family this week in Minnesota, and he's staying there, so maybe he picked up a couple plays. Suppose he would do that?
Well, pending on the outcome of this game, it could be a little testy.
The friendship is on the line. I don't think so. No, the 2 families are very close, except for today. Ball is at the Minnesota 45. But important factor here, only 7 seconds to go. Michigan wins. They take not only the Little Brown Jug back to Ann Arbor, but they also take Timmy back with them. Could be the last play of the half here. Minnesota hoping to get off something quick and then have time maybe to try the field goal, or he may just go for the bomb.
I think he's just going to go deep to Cooper.
Yep, that's it. Here he goes, over the middle, and it is incomplete. Intended for Cooper with 1 second to go. Evan Cooper challenging. Had he caught it, the half would be over anyway. So, no question what he has to do. There's the big 1 second. The top row there. The 7 is the points for the Minnesota. They trail 17-7 to Michigan. 1 second ago, this barring penalty will be the last play of the half. And Michigan knows there's 1 play coming up and 1 only, and that is the long pass. You either try to complete for the touchdown or you get interference call against the defense. Has to be the 2 options for Minnesota. Michigan rushing only 3 men. Hornsby with good protection stays right in the pocket. Here's Hornsby, got a great strong arm. Hornsby fires and he's intercepted in the end zone, and they're going to run it out. Here comes Jackson out over his 4th interception of the day. This half is still alive, and Jackson goes down the 26-yard line. 4th interception of the year for Tony Jackson, and Bo Schembecker will take his Wolverines to the locker room at halftime with a 10-point lead. It's Michigan 13 and Minnesota 7.
Have you heard the good news? Experts forecast that in the 1980s, living standards will be higher. You'll be able to enjoy real buying power and prosperity. They claim you could cash in and cash in big if you know in advance what to expect. Reach for your pencil and paper so you can write for this amazing book, 99 New Ideas, which shows you how to start right now making and saving real money. For example, should you buy or rent your house? The answer will surprise you. How can you gut your supermarket bill yet actually eat better? What's the smart way to buy a car, appliances, clothing? Chances are you'd pay a lot of money for a book as powerful as this. You can't buy it in any store at any price, yet you can get it free when you try Changing Times magazine for 6 months. It keeps you up to date every month with answers to questions like, what are today's best bargains? When is a sale a real sale? How can you use credit to actually save money? When you have extra cash, where should you put it? Regular subscription price to Changing Times alone is $15 a year. However, you get both 6 full months of Changing Times and the big book, 99 New Ideas, for only $5. And here's your free bonus. Send your check today and also get free this ingenious system that keeps track of your money. It's the Kiplinger Family Finance Diary. 7 separate record-keeping systems in one compact, handsome, easy-to-read package. Your free bonus when you send your check today. Send $5 to Changing Times,
Box 213, Plainville, Connecticut, 06062.
Look at what you save. The regular subscription price of Changing Times alone is $15 a year, but you get all of this for only $5 when you send your check today. The amazing book, 99 New Ideas, plus this money-saving Family Finance Diary, plus 6 full months of Changing Times. If you're not completely satisfied, keep these 2 books and your first issue of Changing Times, and we'll gladly refund your money. Now, what could be more fair? So send $5 to Changing Times,
Box 213, Plainville, Connecticut, 06062.
This halftime scoreboard show is brought to you by the investment firm of Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rhonda Glenn with the Smith Barney Halftime Scoreboard Show. Right now, let's take a look at some of the team rankings in college football on the UPI Top 20. First of all, Pittsburgh, as expected, heading the list in the number 1 position as we check the top 10. Southern Cal is second ranked. Clemson is third. The Georgia Bulldogs are in 4th position. The Texas Longhorns 5th. Now, Penn State, after that loss to the University of Miami on Saturday, drops from number 1 to number 6. Alabama's 7th. Nebraska Cornhuskers are in 8th spot. The North Carolina Tar Heels 9th. And Michigan, the team you're seeing right now on ESPN, is in 10th spot. Now, the second 10, Miami of Florida, has jumped up from 19th position to the 11th spot. Washington is 12th, Oklahoma Sooners 13th, Florida State Seminoles 14th, Mississippi State 15th, followed by Ohio State, Arkansas, Southern Mississippi, Washington State, and Iowa State. Now, the University of Miami, which jumped to the number 11 spot in that UPI poll after upsetting number 1 ranked Penn State on Saturday, has been cited by the NCAA for recruiting violations, and Miami has now been placed on 2 years probation. That means the Hurricanes will be ineligible for any postseason bowl games. The number of new football scholarships will also be cut from 30, which they're now giving, to a new number of only 20 scholarships. We'll have more on that on SportsCenter. We'll be back in just a moment with scores after this.
John Hausman for the investment firm of Smith Barney.
The New York Stock Exchange. Trading is over. Some tally their profits, some lick their wounds, and some still look for the ultimate financial formula. For over 100 years, Smith Barney has used only one investment formula: good old-fashioned hard work. Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
6 games in the NBA tonight, and the Philadelphia 76ers have already clinched theirs. They beat Washington 112-99. Atlanta is in Chicago, and the Bulls have taken a 94-90 lead in that game. It's in the 4th period. Cleveland, with a win over Dallas, drops the Mavericks to a 1-2 record on the year. Cleveland 125, the Mavericks 110. New York going against Houston, and Houston has taken a 72-69 lead in the 4th. Phoenix leading San Antonio 62-50 at the half. And the L.A. game just underway, L.A. leading Portland 7-6. And there were 2 games in the National Hockey League. Calgary now playing the New York Islanders. That's the final. It's a 2-2 tie. Winnipeg leading Colorado 3-2 in the 2nd period. We'll be going back to the second half action of the college football game between Michigan and Minnesota. Michigan leading in that game 17-7 at the half. SportsCenter follows the game. That's the update. I'm Rhonda Glenn. This halftime scoreboard show has been brought to you by the investment firm of Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
John Hausman for the investment firm of Smith Barney.
Good investments don't walk up, bite you on the bottom, and say, we're here. Finding them takes good old-fashioned hard work, research, the kind they do at Smith Barney. Smith Barney is among a handful of top investment firms singled out for their work and research. Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it.
I have a headache, and it's just like a consistent pounding.
Would you try extra-strength Tylenol? You can't buy a more potent pain reliever without a prescription.
Well, I've never tried it.
Look at the difference in the amount of medicine in the leading pain relievers.
There's more medicine in extra-strength Tylenol. I'd like to try extra-strength Tylenol. I feel great. I really do. This extra-strength Tylenol really works, so obviously I'm going to use it.
Extra-strength Tylenol, aspirin-free, and you can't buy a more potent pain reliever without a prescription.
Halftime score at Minneapolis. Michigan 17, Minnesota 7. The battle for the Little Brown Jug. And just as important, perhaps more so, the winner of this game remains in the thick of the Big Ten race, one of the hottest ever in this conference. Here's how things happened. Michigan led 3-0 on a Hodges-Cheek field goal. And then down the 10-yard line, here's Smith at quarterback for the Wolverines.
And Jim, all he's going to do is get a little play action fake, and I think it caught Minnesota off balance because I think they're going to run the ball. Now, a linebacker has to come out and cover Edwards. You know, they're so concerned about the run that they just let Edwards slip into the flat, and Smith just a little dump to him for the first score.
10 yards, that place got covered, and then Michigan led 10-0. That saw Minnesota then catch fire, and it was their quarterback, Mike Hornsby, who led the charge for the Golden Gophers. And he marched his team right back downfield to get back in the ball game. Michigan had not been scored on territory, and now beginning to threaten here against Michigan. By the way, we've got a full house here today, 50,000 on just what is a rare day in October for Minnesota. We'll take a look at the statistics of the first half when we come back to Memorial Stadium.
Open your eyes to a new world beyond your camera with the Life Library of Photography Revised Edition. Updated to show what's new in cameras, accessories, and techniques. Call our special number to begin your photographic adventure. Receive the first book in the library, The Camera. It's yours to examine for 10 days with no obligation, and get your free photographer's handbook. 68 pages of tips and guidelines for today's photography. It's yours to keep when you buy The Camera. Whether you have an automatic SLR or a simple pocket camera, once you open the cover, your lessons with the experts begin. With brilliant photographs, demonstrations, and step-by-step instructions in clear, easy-to-understand language, you'll begin to see how to go beyond your eye's limitations in focusing to create compelling images. And each succeeding book takes you into a different realm of the art. Color takes you through the spectrum into a world of light and color, of moods and emotions. The print teaches you to capture life in living black and white. Photographing nature takes you into a world of beauty. Awesome, mysterious, supernatural. Begin your photographic adventure now with The Camera. It's yours to examine for 10 days free. You must be completely satisfied or send it back. Keep it and pay $12.95 plus shipping and handling. Other volumes will come one approximately every other month on the same free examination basis and at the same price. Keep the books you want. Cancel anytime. Remember, when you purchase The Camera, you get your photographer's handbook free.
Phone toll-free 1-800-228-5005 or write photography 815 Time and Life Building, Chicago, and get your first volume to examine for 10 days with no obligation to buy. Write photography 815 Time and Life Building, Chicago, or phone toll-free 1-800-228-5005.
Well, the story has this game, Michigan coming back to score again after Minnesota had cut the lead to 3. And the Wolverines lead it by 10 at halftime, 17-7. On the passing here, quarterback Steve Smith, who twice has hit his fullback, Stan Edwards, for touchdown. His 9th touchdown pass of the year, 8 and 9. Statistically, here's how the two teams compare in the Little Brown Jug Battle in Minnesota. First downs are dead even. Passing yardage are fairly even. Well, they're pretty even all the way around, a little edge to Michigan.
I think a big factor, you look at turnovers, but actually there was just one bad throw by Hohenstein. The last one was, a hope shot right at the end of the first half, and you really can't count that as an interception. But as you said, it is mentioned, very close. Michigan is, in the rushing yardage, a little advantage, and Minnesota is a little bit behind in the passing also. But, the score, 17-7, but, I think we're going to see an awful lot of football here in the second half.
Close game and could go either way. Would you say that, Terry?
I think so, Jimmy. And I think Joe Salem's in the locker room going over a few things, and I think, they just have to get Hohenstein, and they got to get the ball to Cooper.
All right, we'll be back for the second half kickoff in just a moment. Here it is, halftime with Michigan leading by 10. Wolverines 17, Gophers the Minnesota 7.
Gray flannel suits any man. Gray Flannel Cologne by Jeffrey Bean.
Magnavox makes complexity disappear. Magnavox makes entering the world of videotape easy. See your Magnavox dealer for this free, informative booklet. It will make it easier to buy the videotape equipment that's right for you. Magnavox makes entering the world of videotaping easy. Magnavox. The brightest ideas in the world are here today.
Michigan Wolverines beating Minnesota by 17-7. Remember, Minnesota won the opening toss, so they receive. Michigan gets the second half option. The Wolverines will take the ball, and Minnesota comes out to kickoff to start the second half. What do you think about the second half? What do you look for, Terry?
Well, I think Coach Bo Schembechler went into the locker and said, hey, guys, awful lot of penalties in the first half. We saw, one grave call, the pass interference on about the 4-yard line. But other than that, they just had too many penalties, and they gave Minnesota quite a few breaks. But I think Minnesota's going to have to do basically what they did in the first half, Jim. And Hohenstein's got to throw the ball. He's got to roll out. He's got to get Cooper more involved in his offense.
Well, Schembechler with 9 Big Ten championships, but he's never had a losing year in his 18 years of coaching. Now in his 19th. This will be his 160th victory. And Joe Salem in his 16th year is closing in on the 100 victory mark.
He's working on that bubble gum.
That's right. He had 92 victories so far, 14 of them here at the University of Minnesota since taking over from at his alma mater. So Minnesota will kick off. Anthony Carter, Stan Edwards are deep for Michigan. Kicking off will be Jim Gallery for University of Minnesota. These kickers have been putting the ball back deep in the end zone. Now the wind at his back. Here comes Gallery. And he moves this one deep, very deep, way beyond, through the upright. That'll bring it out to the 20. And so Michigan will start there, 1st and 10 on the touchback. Gallery looks like he's limping a little bit as he goes off the side, but he really cracked that kickoff. Starting backfield will be the same alignment we began the game with Michigan and played most of the first half. Steve Smith, a quarterback, threw for 2 touchdowns. The man who caught him, Stan Edwards, will be a fullback. Butch Wolford, who was way below par in the first half, will start at tailback. He's 12 yards to pass the 1,000-yard mark for this year. Anthony Carter, the flanker, then Bean is put in. Except for the 3 or 4 year in a moment. But no big changes there either. Now to get to Wolford. Wolford fires the middle. And again, Minnesota's waiting for him. Wolford, who had a woeful first half, well, by his standards, stopped by Jim Farnhorst and Kevin Kellen in the Minnesota defense. Offensive liners for Michigan are Bubba Parrish and Ed Moransky, a tremendously awesome pair of tackles. David Humphreys, Kurt Becker, the guard, Tom Dix was the center. There's Wolford, who set the all-time Michigan record. He passed up Rob Lytle last week over 3,300 yards, but today he's had a very meager output thanks to a swarming Minnesota defense. 2nd and 10. Here's a keep by Smith. Smith fakes on the pitch out. Now Smith's going to be taken down by a great pursuit by Minnesota, led by Glenn Howard, the linebacker, and he'll get at most a yard on the play. And the Harris is also there. So was Kevin Kellen. A whole host of maroon shirted defenders, and it's spotted down. Well, they say he got to the 22, but it's 2nd down and 3rd down and 8.
You really have to, when you're running the option, or I should say defensing the option, you have to use that sideline as your 12th man on the field. You got to string the option out. You got to put a man on the quarterback and a man on the pitchback. That's how Minnesota did a great job doing that.
Well, Smith facing a big play here. 3rd down and 8 to get his team out of the hole. He's made the big play today for Michigan. And it is Smith rolling. Smith fires off, and it's broken up.
Oh, no.
Flag down. Interference going to be called against Jim Farnhorst. They tried to go over the top of Stan Edwards, the intended receiver. And you heard Terry Hanratty say, oh, no, and I think I read your mind, Terry. You thought he played the ball.
I thought it was a great defensive play. What's number 89, Jim Farnhurst, come in here? Smith tries to lay it over his head. Well, wait a minute. I think I got to agree with the official seeing the rerun. He had a little body contact right before he hit the ball. The ball had not got to Edwards yet.
Another good call and a good break for Michigan. So that'll be a penalty right on the spot at the 24-yard line. And his automatic first down. Actually didn't get the yardage for the first down, but pass interference does carry first down.
Those officials too good for my eyes.
Out to the right, Anthony Carter. He's always a threat. Everything going to the right here for Michigan, and they hand it to the fullback. Edwards going hard, and they fumble, and they may be recovered by Minnesota. Minnesota players think they have the ball. You can see Glenn Cardelli jumping up and down, signaling our ball, but they did get away from Edwards. They've got to unstack them here. to see who has the ball, the white shirt or the maroon shirt. And it is the white shirt. Michigan falls. So Michigan recovers, and Cardelli's celebration was a little bit premature. Anthony Carter comes up with a loose ball. Talk about hands. Number one is used to handling the football. Well, that was another good break for Michigan. They could have coughed up the ball there, and Minnesota would have had it in good for a spot. So the pass interference play to Minnesota. They recover the fumble, and Michigan still got the ball at the 32. Loss of 3. They're second and 13. Here's Smith. The Wolf.
Watch out.
Got room. Here comes. There's the corner of the 40. That's his best run of the day. Out of bounds in the 45. And it'll be first down for Michigan. Rick Whithouse and Glenn Cardelli made the stop. And here's Wolford moving closer and closer now to the 1,000-yard mark. Still not there, but he's close.
And again, they're so concentrating on Anthony Carter, number one. You can't see him in the stream. There's two men out there, which takes away the support man. In fact, Carter gets a little block there, not much, but I'll tell you, and once you get Woolfolk out there with no support man, he's just going to gain yardage for you.
First and 10. Michigan has worked up to its 45-yard line. Got away in motion. Here's the option again. They hand it up the middle to Edwards. Nice fake in the right. Smith. Edwards tries the middle. There's not much there. He stops short of the 50-yard line. Glenn Howard, the linebacker from Minnesota. And Anthony Davis, the right end. Davis has a little extra incentive here today because he is a native of Detroit playing against the Michigan team. Jerry DiOrio has replaced David Humphries in left guard for Michigan. We've still got Becker and Moransky on the right, and Paulo Parrish is the huge big left tackle. Now here comes Wolford the other way, takes the tackle. Wolford over the 50. 45-40, taken out of bounds. Penalty flag is thrown back downfield. Whithouse made the stop. There is a penalty flag down as Wolford got out of a trap that time. He was hit at the line of scrimmage or behind, but I think it's going to be a race for a penalty against Michigan.
There was misdirection. They pulled the two guards. You see Becker gets an excellent block, number 65, and Wolford breaks the tackle. I'll tell you, when you run a misdirection offense, a lot of times you get called for clipping because you're going against the grain.
Hey, Glenn Howard almost had him for a loss behind the line. There you can see what Michigan Wolford can do, but it went for naught here. This penalty will go the other way against Michigan. Holding penalty is the preliminary signal. Spotter down the 42. So second man coming up and 12 to go for Michigan at the 42-yard line. Michigan is fourth in all-time in team victories, 623. Only 3 Ivy League teams have won more, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. And of course, they go back a little bit before Michigan's time. Craig Dunaway's in there tight end. Here he comes over to the left side, trying to confuse the Minnesota defense. They like to switch strong and weak side. Then there's a play-action fake by Smith. He is coming down for the Bean, and it is caught by Bean at the 21-yard line. Vince Bean over the shoulder. A spectacular catch. Took it away of Glenn Cardelli, and the prettiest pass play we've had today.
It really is because they had Carter to the wide side of the field. Now they're coming back with Bean. And actually, it's a great throw by Smith because he's putting it right between the dead spot of the zone. You see the safety man didn't react well enough, Mike Robb, to the deep pattern because he was so concerned where Carter was.
Bean got the foot down in bounds. Last year, he was the backup for Carter. He's been moved out to split in. And this year, and you saw what he can do. First down, Michigan, and now the Wolverines threatening again at the Minnesota 21. Here's a pitch to Woolfolk. Woolfolk going outside of his feet, gets a block. Saul stopped from behind. Running it down was Rick Whithouse for safety. Woolfolk looked like he might have time to get out and turn the corner, and Whithouse just made a super play from safety. And he stopped him after a pickup of only 2 to the 19. Woolfolk still has not reached the 1,000-yard mark. He needs 12 yards here in the second half, and we'll try to keep you posted on that. Bo Schembechler along the sidelines, coach of the year 1969, and had the best record in the 70s of any college coach in America. Second and 8. It comes Dunaway. And a get him a full back. Edwards hammers the middle, goes down close to the 15. And he's pounded back hard by the defense by Anthony Davis and Glenn Suslevich. Suslevich, tough guy to move out of there. Number 34. There's Edwards, 32. 35 yards today for Woolfolk, so he needs one more. Well, he's just passed. He's 1,001 yards for the year. So Butch Woolfolk has passed a milestone. 3rd and 5, a big play here for the Minnesota defense. And the blitz, and a quick fire to Bean, he drops it. Minnesota blitzing up the middle, and they put pressure immediately on Smith. He had to hurry his throw, and Bean couldn't make the catch. And it's 4th down. We may see the field goal try as Haji Sheik is coming on. Ali Haji Sheik.
Jim, number 26, Mike Robb, really put the pressure on Smith. As you said, the safety blitz right up the middle. Because Bean was out there all alone. If he had just a split second more, he could have got the ball to him.
Haji Sheik, who is 2 for 5 in field goals, is 1 for 1 today. And this try will be from about 33 yards, right in the middle. Haji Sheik, the kick up, it's long enough, and it is good. Haji Sheik has hit one from 32 yards, and so Michigan up this lead now to 13 points. It becomes 20-7. Minnesota will be looking for the kickoff when we come back. Now Michigan widens its lead. It's the Wolverines 20, and the Gophers 7.
Does your house have enough insulation? Good. Have you seen what's happened to fuel costs lately? To fight back, get up in your attic and add an extra layer of Owens Corning fiberglass insulation. Don't wait. Put your house in the pink. With Owens Corning fiberglass insulation today, it's cheaper than you know what.
High in the mountains of France, in a laboratory like no other, Timex has created the Mean Machine. Watch a test with Time Commander Digital. See how tough a test this Time Commander can pass. When you wear your Timex, it will probably never have to endure this kind of stress and strain. The Mean Machine shows. No matter how advanced Timex is always Timex. It takes a licking and keeps on and on.
Well, Michigan took the opening kickoff of the second half. They didn't give it up. They used it almost 5 minutes before they finally scored. There's number 8 is Terry Glenn. Also back there is Teddy Watson instead of Manny Henry. Butch Woolfolk, as we told you, is going over the 1,000-yard mark in rushing for the second straight year. He's only the 4th Michigan back to do that. Ron Johnson, Rob Waddle, and Gordon Bell. Not even Tom Harmon was able to do that back in his time. He won the Heisman Trophy. And his great battle here, by the way, with the All-Stars Bruce Smith of Minnesota. What great fights they had back in another era. Butch over the 1,000-yard mark, always not having a super day on the day. Here's Watson, 1 yard deep, going to run it out. At the 10. Watson breaks one tackle, but he's right in the arms of another man, Jim Herman, and he will take him down short of the 15-yard line. So he loses 6 yards by not staying in the end zone. Minnesota will start from 14, 1st and 10.
I'll tell you, Haji Sheik has quite a leg on him because he's kicking into a pretty good wind here, and he kicked it so high right to the goal line, and they had to return it, and good coverage by Michigan.
Well, Bell by far is his best day kicking. Kicked 2 for 2 in field goals. He was 1 for 4 coming in here just for the season. 52,875. That's the attendance for the game today at Memorial Stadium. Jacobs and Henry, the setback behind Hohensee. This is the first time Minnesota's had the ball second half. Hohensee play action fake. Hohensee all day. Fires the corner. Stabbed over by Jacobs to Slut. He flipped the tackle. Still got room to the 20. And he is up to the 25-yard line. First down, I believe, for Minnesota on some super running over there by Frank Jacobs. Stopped finally by Brian Carpenter. Paul Gergash, we understand now is the way he likes it, makes the stop. And the signal.
So what Hohensee wanted to do was throw the ball downfield, but he let the defense get back. Gergash just overran the ball. And Jordan made a good catch of the inside Jacobs did.
Well, it was the first down. It's second down of about a foot. Let's see if Hohensee wants to try and pull something here. Nope, against his fullback breaking through to the first down is Henry. Manny Henry gets the first down and then some. After the 30 and beyond the 31-yard line, Mike Boren, the linebacker, makes the tackle for Michigan with Tony Jackson, the free safety. Another first down for Minnesota. Their first of the second half. Well, the Minnesota showing some life here coming out of the hole as they trail 27. And we're in the third period with 9 minutes to go. So far, Hohenty has not been able to team up with Chester Cooper on anything long. At blitz by Michigan. Hohenty trying to get away. Back. 30. Oh, all right. Hohenty at the 50. Hohenty still going. And he's to the 43-yard line of Michigan. Tony Jackson was the last man to stop Mike Hohenty, which he did. That saved a touchdown. But what a brilliant run by Mike Hohenty.
And Jim, that's why you have to get Mike Hohenty in the ballgame, whether he's throwing the ball or running it. I mean, Michigan had great pressure. They had the blitz on. 2 or 3 guys had a shot at him. But now he has the presence of mind, knowing there's a blitz, there's man-to-man coverage downfield, but there's not that many secondary people down there.
Hey,
picked up a lot of real estate.
Did you ever look like that running when you were a quarterback?
No.
I'm not very many.
In my younger days, I did.
He looked like a halfback running that ball. He's a hand off the tailback. Jacob up the middle of the 40. Penalty flag thrown. Marker is in, so hold everything. Another penalty could be forthcoming. It could be holding here on Minnesota. Clay Miller was in there to stop the play, and Minnesota is trudging back toward the huddle, and it is. Illegal use of the hands against Minnesota. That'll be 10 yards on the Gophers. And so the drive momentarily slowed down here by Minnesota as they get into Michigan territory.
So the thumbs up.
Give them a signal. Now the way to go, boys. So I'm sure we'll have a few run backs when they play the film of that run, though, a moment ago, because Mike Boren had Hohenty right in his grasp when he get away. 5-yard penalty it is. They go just ahead. Just remind you very quickly here, coming up NHL hockey, Toronto Maple Leafs against the Colorado Rockies Friday, November the 6th. The NHL season's underway on ESPN. You can see all the action here on your Total Sports Network. First down about 12 from the 45. Play action roll out, and here's a flip over to Jacobs, but right to his hand. Jacobs kind of taking his eye off the ball because Keith Fossick, strong safety, was really bearing down. Incomplete pass, third down now, and 12, third down 11.
Jacobs is very lucky he didn't catch that ball.
Yeah, that Fossick had him measured.
Right there.
Fossick is second team All Big Ten last year, so it's top you. Cooper is to the right. He's to the wide part of the field. Passing situation for Hohenty. Here he comes. Hohenty, look. Hohenty all day.
He has the whole field.
Left, he's going to get some yardage. 30, 25, 20, and he ducks and dives to the 22. Well, what a tough kid. The Bruins from Roy. From Hawaii. He puts on another blast here to the delight of his happy Minnesota crowd. Evan Cooper on the stop. Another first down, Minnesota.
Michigan is going to have to do something about that because they're leaving him uncovered. They're doubling everybody on the outside. Good protected by the offensive line and enabling the defense to get their drops, and he just turns upfield for a lot of real estate.
Hohenty has got Cooper out again to the wide side of the field, to the right, and Wickback to the left. Giving a tailback. Up the middle, Jacobs inside the 20-17. Frank Jacobs, leading rusher for Minnesota, stopped by Al Simpson. Freshman nose guard. Ball is down the Michigan 17-yard line. Second down. About 6, 4-yard gain on that play. Minnesota threatening to score a second touchdown against Michigan. I don't know how long it's been since Michigan gave up 2 touchdowns. They had not given up any in 10 quarters since the Michigan State game.
So not a bad time for a draw right here.
Well, it's a little quick handoff instead to Manny Henry, and Mike Boren throws down quickly on him. Might have gotten a yard.
I see number 1 and number 6. Now they're going to start going to work as soon as they get the play. So these guys stay loose on the sideline.
Yeah, only one of them is the live man. The first signal they give is which signal is to count. Well, Owens must have picked it up. Third down. Here's a big play for Minnesota.
Got to have a rollout to the right-hand side. Use that wide side of the field.
They need the touchdown. There he comes rolling out. He fires, and he was caught here, but it will not be a first down, Frank. Frank Jacobs gets it, but Paul Gergash has been all over the field today. Number 50 makes the stop for Michigan. Minnesota fans are saying go for it.
I've never seen a crowd say no, don't go.
They don't have a one-year contract there either, do they?
Think of what happened there, Jim, was Hohensee really didn't put pressure on the defense. He threw the ball just a little too quick. He's got to roll out there so he has the ability to run the ball.
All right, there's a timeout called by Minnesota. They're going to talk it over at least with 6:55 to go. 5:55. Michigan leads 27.
I bring it to Joe.
That's me.
And you know what he's rebuilding a lot more of these days?
4-cylinder engines.
Small engines work a lot harder than big engines. So if you have a small car, it's even more important to take care of it right. Change the oil regularly. And put in a new Fram oil filter when you're supposed to. A Fram filter doesn't cost much.
I do.
But the choice is yours. You can pay me now.
Or pay me later.
You can record all this with this. Name, brand, blank video cassettes from Photomat, America's source for blanks.
Here begins a brand new life for America's favorite recyclable beverage container. The stackable, lightweight, quick-killing, unbreakable, all aluminum can. Aluminum preserves the flavor and protects the taste. Aluminum. Its recyclability assures many, many happy returns. It's America's favorite.
We can't wait for tomorrow.
All right, they are bringing Jim Dowry on the field. Minnesota is, but might signal that Joe Salem wants the field goal. Gets some points on the board. He's down by 13 points. Field goal would cut it to 10. And there's lots of time left in this game. Always, of course, could be a fake, although the holder is not necessarily a passer, Ron Weckbacher. Try would be of 31 yards, the 21-yard line. Dowry, who missed one chance today, there really wasn't much of a chance, 52 yards into the wind. He had been 8 out of 10 coming in here. This one is up and plenty long enough, and it is wide. Dowry has missed, and Minnesota's long march brings them up empty-handed. They got no score out of it, and it is still 27 Michigan. So you got to credit the Michigan defense, although that time it was just the inability of Gowry to hit the field goal from what should have been a fairly easy range for him.
Yeah, and plus he had the wind in his back then, so he didn't have a problem there. It was much long enough, so it was just a little bit off.
Now Michigan takes over at the 20. First and 10. Steve Smith, Stan Edwards, Anthony Carter, Butch Woolfolk, Vince Dean. That's the offensive striking force that Michigan has on the field. It's played just about the entire game. Smith played all the way. Edwards has played all the way. Woolfolk was out for one or two plays. Give it to Woolfolk. Woolfolk coming to the left side. Powers up to 24. Short game. He's second down and 6. Von Horst and Glenn Howard stopping for Minnesota.
Second down, 6 to the 24.
At the top of the show, we mentioned that maybe Michigan's offensive line with the size would just blow out Minnesota, but it really hasn't been that today. They haven't used those 60 pounds plus per man to their advantage.
Second down and 6, Michigan from the 24. Michigan leads 20-7. Woolfolk again comes outside, tosses the 25, and runs into Glenn Howard. And he's taken down right there. Michigan had its same wing helmet, which was designed by Fritz Chrysler, one of the great cooks for Michigan. Boy, both these schools have had an outstanding list of players. We mentioned Tom Harmon and Bruce Smith. Well, Minnesota's had Bronco Nagurski, Leo Mamalini, Carl Eller, among others. And Michigan, of course, Elroy Crazy Legs hurt. Deardorff, Rob Lytle, we mentioned a moment ago, his record. Pretty far coaches came out of this spot here in Minnesota, too. Here, how about Bud Grant, Bud Wilkinson? Okay.
Bud we know well. Open.
And motion goes Dunaway. And a good keeper by Steph. And he's maybe a first down. Boy, Terry Smith has shown us we've seen some super quarterbacking play for both teams. Would you agree with that?
What really happened that time, it was really interesting play because obviously they're seeing that Minnesota is reacting too much to that to the option. Take a look at it now. We're going to see Smith. It's a good read. Now, you see the whole Michigan defenses, or I'm sorry, Minnesota's defenses are bearing off to the left there. And Smith just gets the ball and comes back, and realizing he only needs about 1.5 yards, 2 yards.
Anthony Davis with Mike Robb helping out a little bit. With Grover back for Minnesota. It's the first down Michigan at the 30. Dunaway in motion. There's again, they send Wolf at this time around the left side with Smith's direction. Runs out of real estate around the 35, so he isn't going to get much from there. Glenn Cardelli. Moransky really wiped out with a block that time, but there just wasn't enough field here for Wolf.
Jim, it's the second time they used today. First time they got caught for a holding penalty. They're using just in this direction. Overshift. They're pulling some guards out there. They want Minnesota to go to the wide side, which they're doing, and come back with Wolfo.
Number 1 is on. You see Anthony Carter just plotted in your picture. So Carter, he's the buzz bomb. He's back in for Michigan to the right side, top of your screen. Second down, fullback, gets the call, and Edwards is straightened up by Jim Farnhorst and slammed down after maybe 1 yard or 2 at the most to the 37. So it'll be a third down play for Michigan and 3. Minnesota defense been on the field a lot here in this quarter, Terry.
They really have, and I think, I don't think they'll take them too much because, such a gorgeous day here. At that age, you can run forever.
Again, Carter goes to the top of your screen to the right. It's third, short yardage. Edwards and Wolf up here behind Smith. And it is just play action. Smith looking, comes downfield at Bean, and is caught out of bounds at the Minnesota 45. Glenn Cardelli covering, but Bean just ran a perfect route right to the sidelines, kept his foot in bounds, and made the catch.
And what they're doing there is that, they're doing a little roll by Smith. Now, look, this is an outstanding job by Bean at keeping his feet in the bounds there. You see, he just dragged his left foot right at the last second. A good call by the officials. That was a close one.
That was close. Brent Harms now has replaced Carl Mecklenburg at right tackle for Minnesota, so they have Orgus, Kellen, Harms, and Davis now on the line. Again, the fullback takes it to the right as he slammed down hard. Oh, he is really jarred, and that was Glenn Howard who put him down. But that's as hard as Edwards or anybody else has been hit today. Ooh, what a hit. Down to 45. No gain, 2nd and 10. I lost a foot. Number 3 here is for Minnesota's defense is Glenn Howard, who made that stop. He's the defensive captain. Ken calling the play. Double coverage again on Carter. Smith back, and Smith is looking the other way, coming down.
Watch out.
Is broken up by Glenn Cardelli. They're going to be, and Cardelli at that time had it measured. Incomplete pass, third down 10 now for Michigan, and Minnesota's defense now is holding well in this series.
Now, this is just a bad pass by Smith. He throws it a little too high and behind him. You want to get the receiver, you want to throw it to the outside like he did before. It's the same pass play. Bean had him there. If you throw the ball low and to the outside, he gets the completion. It's a good defense by Cardelli.
Against the rush, this Minnesota defense only given up 130 yards, 121 yards a game in its Big Ten games. And Michigan's been rushing for almost 300 yards a game, so there's quite a matchup there. And Michigan's doing well, but then Minnesota's come through this series. Here's the last third and 10. Smith over the middle, and it's complete. Should have been caught. That was intended for Vince Speed, and Mike Robb was defending. And it's 4th down. The Michigan punting team comes on. Clock shows 2.5 minutes to go in the third period. The Wolverines have dominated the ball for the most part in this period, with except for one drive. There's Carter, who might have been open on his leg. Let's see.
So, a lot of times you get into a rut where you're thinking, they're going to double cover him so he's not going to be open. But a lot of times, a great receiver like that can shake two guys.
Well, he had Andre Harris deep now, that's for sure. Don Bracken in the front for Michigan. And it's another one that is almost straight up in the air. Now it takes another good bounce. Taken by a Minnesota player. Oh, what a dangerous play that is. That was Marvell Ross. I think he may be in there. Nope, would have been him. Well, we'll be right back. Michigan leads 20-7 over Minnesota.
He's half bounty hunter, half stuntman, all action. He's the Fall Guy, starring Lee Majors, this Wednesday on ABC. He risks it all, this Wednesday on ABC. The Fall Guy, starring Lee Majors with Douglas Barr, Heather Thomas, and Joanne Flew. The Fall Guy, this Wednesday, 9 p.m., 8 Central on ABC, from 20th Century Fox, where television never looked better.
Michelob brings you the 7-day weekend. Good eating style. Special of the week for gourmet's delight. Here's how to add a little weekend flavor to any dish. Served with generous portions of Michelob. Because that smooth and mellow taste helps make any time feel a little like a weekend. Put a little weekend in your week.
Yeah.
Part of the crowd here today of over 52,000 watching this game at Memorial Stadium, the old brick house in Minneapolis. And what a gorgeous day we've had. Late October, and 62 degrees. Bob Strout now is in the backfield at fullback for Minnesota. They'll back and forth. They give it to Jacobs. Jacobs to the right side. Hammers his way for a couple of tough yards. Michigan gives grudgingly here on the ground. Walter Ross, that was. Ross made the run, and Mike Hammerstein was stopped.
Jim, we have just about 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter. 20-7. I think, the defense of Minnesota has played extremely well against Michigan. But the odd thing is the offense has to get something going right now because they need a few scores here.
That was the play flashed in from the sidelines. Joe Salem using his backup quarterback for that duty. Wide left is Chester Cooper.
Normally they're passing formation. Split back.
Awesome scoop to the back. Going steam, drops straight over the middle. Caught on a tight end Carroll for first down. Drops around the 31. Well, it may not be a first down. It's right on the yard line. And now they're saying he's down at about the 30.5-yard line, which will be a half yard short. So it'll be 3rd and 1, and it's actually less than a yard to go. It was a good catch by Carroll.
It really was, and it really showed the quick arm of Mike Curtis.
There's Carroll from Winona. He's replaced by Mike Curtis. Minnesota's not going to the tight end nearly so much as Curtis is out with an ankle injury. He's their first-string tight end, and he is not quite ready to return. Now they bunched up tight. There goes some movement, Minnesota. If Minnesota didn't move, Michigan was offsides and didn't make contact, but there's a possibility that Minnesota might have moved in the line. Let's see what the decision is here. It is illegal procedure against Michigan. So encroachment is called on the Wolverines. They did make contact before the snap. 5-yard penalty will give Minnesota a first down. So now Minnesota brings back its wide receivers, Weckbacher and Cooper. They have 2 tight ends in, and Michigan is warming up B.J. Dickey, a backup quarterback to Steve Smith. Smith had a brilliant afternoon, but Michigan has a good lead right now, 20-7. We're in the final minute of the third period. Minnesota threatened earlier here in this quarter. Got down close, but on 4th and 2, went for the field goal and missed. Hoyensee can run. Hoyensee heading for the sidelines, out of bounds in the 45. That'll be close to another first down. Paul Gergash ran him out for Michigan with 52 seconds to go in the quarter. And it's close to another first down for Minnesota. Hey, Hoyensee may wind up the leading rusher today for Minnesota.
Well, I think he will. I think he'll be the leading rusher in the ballgame today. He's had about 3 or 4 good runs tonight.
They're bringing the chains over. We're going to be picking the Vitalis player of the game, and thinking about it, Smith had a great game. We've never had a player off a losing team win it, have we?
Never have. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen any most valuable player off a losing team.
First down for Minnesota. But Hohensee is having some performance. 52 seconds. That's in the third period. This team's got quite a ways to go. Michigan has scored the only touchdown of the period. They drove from the second half kickoff, a long sustained drive, almost 5 minutes. Went in to score on the pass from Smith to the fullback Edwards. Dick Davidson now is coming in split in, replacing Wickbacker. And they move Ross out in the slot. There's a blitz. They pick it up, and the pass is caught over the 50 by Keith Bostic. Or rather, Bostic made a stop. Followed the middle by Walter Ross out of the backfield. Bostic really came over the stop. I was surprised he didn't get the yellow flag on that.
You know, he hesitated right at the last second, to prevent the interference.
Good position there by Walter Ross, who sort of been in Joe Sladen's doghouse in and out the last week or two. Outstanding junior running back. Second down and 5 for Minnesota. Now they're Michigan territory. Fake flip to give up the ball. Ross got room inside the 35-yard line of Michigan. A first down to the 31. What a beautiful fake on the pitch by Hohensee. Instead of pitching, he put it right in the breadbasket of Walter Ross and really open.
And I'll tell you what, that was he had Michigan going crazy. You see the linebackers there all flowing for the pitch. Little misdirection for Minnesota. I think if Michigan can do it, they can try it in their playbook.
Tony Jackson kept that play from going even further at its first down at the Michigan 32 as the period ends. That's the end of the third quarter. Michigan still in the lead. Minnesota now beginning to move. It is Michigan 20, Minnesota 7 with a quarter to go.
There's only one car rental company in the world, big enough and good enough to be number one for everyone. Curtis.
Who else guarantees your final rental charges in advance, like this?
And lets you go right from your plane to your car without stopping at the rental counter.
And they never charge for mileage, no matter where you rent the car or where you return it.
Whatever you need in a car rental company, there's still only one company you'll ever need.
Holiday Inn.
Welcome to our people-pleasing.
Hi. Is that the Holiday Inn East, the Holiday Inn West, the Midtown? The one by United Industries. The one by the headquarters or the plant? The headquarters.
We offer you a choice of the most popular locations.
You need 3 hands.
You're right.
People-pleasing locations.
The airport? The one by Holiday Inn North or Holiday Inn South?
Number 1 in people-pleasing.
Now to the fourth and final period. And we'll be looking here for Hohensee to go more and more in the air. It's been the year of the pass, Terry Hanratty. Looks like the NCAA is going to set a new record this year in passing. Almost 322 yards a game by both teams. Well, we'll tell you about some fighting coming up. Tito Cuevas against Roger Stafford. That'll be for the WBA Welterweight Championship. Or he is the champion, that is. Former champion, Cuevas. So, that's on the ESPN November 7th, live on Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time, from the Hacienda Hotel in Las Vegas. 32-yard line of Michigan. Minnesota on the road with Self and Ross in the backfield. Hohensee off the Ross. Ross passes inside the 30-yard line. He goes down to the 28th, and about 4 yards in the play. Walter Ross is a junior from St. Petersburg, Florida, stopped by Carlton Rose. So there was Ross stopped by Rose. Ross a speedster.
I think Minnesota, is mixing everything up so well now, Tim. They're, Hohensee is rolling out. He's looking downfield. Wants to go downfield, but he's not making the dumb mistake by throwing in the coverage, which he did force a couple in the early part of the game. But instead, he's dumping off his back to 5 and 6 yard catches. And that's the way they move the ball down the field.
Chester Cooper here, the big threat from Minnesota, has been heard from today that much. Out to the left side. And a give up to the middle to Strout. Bob Strout, the Minnesota fullback, runs right into Al Sensik, the nose guard. Here's the top of the 24.
And again, another mix-up, in their offense for Minnesota because they never really ran the ball from that formation. So they're giving them different looks to Michigan. That's how Michigan was up for the cause.
Third down, I call it about 3 to go for first down. More like 3.5. See what Hornsby can come up with here on third down. And he fakes inside. He goes again on the handoff to Strout, and this time Michigan's defense is not going to be fooled. Tony Osmond goes Strout all the way back to the 30-yard line. They'll give him his forward motion, which was down to the 25. Here's another decision now by Joe Salem. Team trailing by 13 points in the fourth quarter and facing 4th down and 3.
You got to go for it.
Outside the 25. Michigan setting in 3 new defensive players, looking for the pass here from Hornsby. Hornsby's been quite a threat running today also. Michigan set up with a zone double coverage here on Cooper. Minnesota's got to get 3 yards this time. Hornsby rush. Hornsby fires, and it's incomplete. Something went wrong there. He's fired over the head of his intended receiver. Looks like Cooper down around the 15-yard line, and Michigan will take over. Osmond almost got to Hornsby and might have rushed him a little bit. Minnesota line is protected brilliantly all day for Hornsby, but that time Osmond broke through. And Michigan takes over now. They've stopped another Minnesota threat. It'll be Michigan ball at the Wolverines 25, 1st and 10. And the Wolverines leading 20-7 now with 12 minutes and 47 seconds to go. So they can pick up some first downs here. That's still looking more and more in the favor of the Maize and Blue. Wolford, Carter, and Edwards behind Smith. The first unit in for Michigan in the backfield. Wolford. Middle of
Oh, there he goes.
To the 40. Wolford, 45-50. Turns outside and gets down to Minnesota 43. That's the best run of the day by Butch Wolford, the All-American halfback for Michigan, stopped by Glenn Cardelli. And it was Anthony Carter that gave him this really good key block that swung him down into Minnesota territory.
A guy like Wolford, you know it's only a matter of time before he's going to break one of them because he has such tremendous acceleration. He reads his holes extremely well. They put him deep in that eye so he can see the whole line of scrimmage, and he can cut back and go straight ahead, whatever he needs to do.
Well, he's had some great days against Minnesota. 131 as a freshman, 194 as a sophomore, 73 last year before he was hurt. 398 yards and 5 touchdowns in the 3 previous games, and now that was his best run here today. They kept him in check pretty much until that. Quick pass out to Anthony Carter. Carter trying to get on the outside. They'll be taken out of bounds around the 35-yard line. Then Cardelli. Carter, who just goes out there in the flat and stops.
Just a little hitch pattern, Jim. All he wants to do is get about 2 yards, give the quarterback a throwing lane. Then he's one-on-one on Cardelli, and that's got to be a scary approach to the football game.
Well, you don't dare crowd him because he gives a little fake and go, and it's 6. Brent Harms now comes in again, replacing Mecklenburg in the line for Minnesota. Norm Betts is back in at tight end for Michigan, replacing Dunaway. Second down, about a yard for Smith. Gives it to his fullback, and Edwards has got the first down. Workman-like fashion, he plows him down around the 32. Jimmy James halts him there with Glenn Howard. And that'll be a Michigan first down. And so the Wolverines are doing what they want to do here. They keep the clock rolling. They keep moving with a 13-point lead, and the clock shows now less than 12 and a half minutes to go.
Jim, it's really something to see when you see Anthony Carter to the wide side of the field. Minnesota's whole secondary shifts over to him.
Good luck there, Steve Smith, the young sophomore, who's not going to see his counterparts had an outstanding day. And the Wolford. Wolford now backed up around the 30. Brent Harms the first to hit him. Harms, the guy who replaced Carl Mecklenburg at right tackle. So the Minnesota defense, which last week allowed to Iowa just 45 yards, only 2 first downs in the first half, found a different story here with Michigan. A high-geared offensive role. Tom Hassel now at fullback. Dan Edwards comes out for the first time today. Norm Betts is back in at tight end. He's brought in the front. So now there's Hassel, a sophomore from Cincinnati. Number 48 is at fullback for Son of Wolford. Give the Wolford. Wolford running into trouble, trying to turn the corner, and it does get it down to 25. A pretty good running job by Wolford, who was hemmed in from the very beginning. Rick Whithouse stopped him with us. So Woolfolk now beginning to pile up some yardage. He was held to something like 10 or 12 yards in the first half, was past the 1,000 mark for the season here early in the second half, and now he's had a couple of pretty good runs. At the 25, it'll be Michigan ball, 3rd down and 3. Now clock shows 10:45 to go in the game. Michigan leads 20-7. Smith, 3rd down, going to the air to Anthony Carter, end zone, and it is touchdown. Oh. What a super catch by Anthony Carter. Cardelli and Woodhouse were both back there, but the ball was just perfectly thrown by Steve Smith. That's his 3rd touchdown pass of the afternoon, and Michigan now has a commanding lead of 26-7.
I'll tell you, you really can't get a better throw than what Smith did right there. And Carter ran a fantastic, but before they were running those post patterns to him. Now they ran to the corner, and that time he wasn't open by much. It was pretty good defense back there, but just a super throw by Smith.
That's the 10th touchdown pass of the season for Steve Smith, and it was also Carter's 28th career touchdown. His 5th for this year. Hodges seeking to try for the point. There's Hodges' kick. He's been perfect today. So, we'll be back in a moment, but Michigan now is up to speed. Michigan 27 and Minnesota 7.
Magnavox makes complexity disappear. Magnavox makes entering the world of videotape easy. See your Magnavox dealer for this free, informative booklet. It will make it easier to buy the videotape equipment that's right for you. Magnavox makes entering the world of videotaping easy. Magnavox. The brightest ideas in the world are here today.
Ah, good choice. The beer with a taste for food. Natural light from Anheuser-Busch. Not too filling, but oh so satisfying. When you're ready, really ready to eat.
What's more natural than natural light?
Well, Michigan has struck again, but let's take a look at this play here to Anthony Carter. Was he in bounds in the end zone? Mitchell says yes.
Just a little semi-roll. You're going to see he's going to drop it right over the head. I believe he's got it there.
Yeah. All you have to, in the end, you see the ball going away, but all he has to have is possession.
Yeah, that ball dropping is after the fact.
Once he has possession in the end zone, it's over. It is an immediate touchdown, and that's what it was for Anthony Carter, the 28th of his career, and the 5th one for this year. Hodges will kick off. Scoring drive for Michigan was an impressive one. They were just trying to run off some time, so they ran off 2 minutes, 11 seconds. They picked up 7 points in the bargain. On the 25-yard touchdown pass to Anthony Carter, and Michigan now maybe has put the game away 27-7. Back deep, Teddy Watson is waiting. Along with Kerry Glenn. It's going to be Glenn deep in the end zone, and he'll decide to keep it right there. So Minnesota will come out to the 20 to start their drive with 10 minutes and 36 seconds on the clock, and trailing by 20. It's the biggest margin held by Michigan in the game at 27-20. The Wolverines now looking very strong as they head down the stretch. Michigan considered in this unusual tight Big Ten race to have the toughest road to hoe, as it were, in the final section, because Michigan must play after Illinois, Purdue, and Ohio State, all contenders in the Big Ten race. Ross and Strout are the running backs now behind Mike Hoyensee. Boy, Hoyensee has been brilliant here. Even if Minnesota should lose, they've had an outstanding day. Now Ross goes to tailback. Hoyensee blitz. Sidelines. Cooper right to his hand. A little bit high, but Cooper got his hands up, couldn't hold it. Brian Carpenter was blitzing in on Hoyensee. Oh, no, Carpenter was covering. That was Lemeron.
And I'll tell you, he put a lick on Hoyensee that time.
2nd and 10. Clock stop at 10:32 to go. Last week, Minnesota's moment to shine against Iowa, and now here's Michigan coming into Minnesota, and looks like the Wolverines going to come away in a pressure winner. Hoynesy always a threat. Stands in there. Drills that ball. Complete. Caught up around the 25-yard line. One of his running backs, I think it's Walter Ross. Let's see. Nope, that is Cooper. Chester Cooper. Next to catch, Brian Carpenter to the stop.
Watch Hoynesy. I love the way he just sits back in that pocket, surveys the whole field before he's ready to fire. Now he's going to find Cooper right in the dead spot of the zone. He does a good job of working away from the cornerback and the linebacker to find that spot.
It's the first down for Minnesota. 10 minutes to go in the game, and Michigan leads 27-7. Hoynesy stands in there again. Now he drills it one more time. And it's caught by Bob Strout, hit down by Brian Carpenter, short of the 40. That'll be a short pickup. Time getting away here, but Michigan defense giving grudgingly here to Minnesota. Off an outstanding performance by Mike Hoynesy, a junior quarterback, a junior college All-American from Mount San Antonio College in California. Holiday he's having here, maybe in a losing cause. Second down play for Hoynesy. Good protection, fills to the sidelines. Cooper cannot get it. Gone a little bit off the mark with Carpenter covering again. Cooper's had Carpenter one-on-one a couple of times. And that time, Hoynesy could not get the ball on the mark. Nick Davidson comes in replacing Cooper.
Jim, I'm really surprised they haven't tried to go deep with Cooper, because he has the outstanding speed. They're just trying to throw him the medium routes, the hook to the outs, about 12 to 15 yards.
Plus, Minnesota leads for a big play. They're trailing by 20. Third down play here by Hoynesy. Needs 6 to just keep possession. And he's hit over the middle of Strout. Strout has the first down. He's to the Michigan 40 and inside to the 39. Carlton Rose and Tony Jackson picks them both to stop Bob Strout. Strout, a junior fullback who had been switched to tailback this week off the injury by Jacobs. Jacobson had a quick recovery, got back in the lineup, so Strout had to go back to the sidelines, but here in the second half he's been in. Now Manny Henry comes in replacing him. Coach Schemberger just shakes his head. He's got a great defensive team, but they have not been able to completely contain Minnesota. Nick Davis back in the lineup for the goal.
Blitz.
Yep, there's Hoynesy, fires it up in the air, and it is. That's a touchdown. Hit by Bonnie. Davidson catches it for the touchdown. The rather bizarre play for Minnesota, but it ends up in the 6-pointer. That's it again. That's the tip.
Michigan, look, see the safety man coming up the middle there. And Hoynesy had to get rid of the ball. He knew he had his receiver out there to do it. What you do, one-on-one, you got to have faith in your receiver that he can take it away from that defensive back. And that time, Davidson just did an outstanding job. Picked the ball up in the air a little bit, then took it in for a touchdown.
And so Minnesota keeps the last gasp hopes alive. Jim Gowrie in the drive of the point. Minnesota now could cut it to 13 again. It's 27-13. Gowrie's kick is good. Now it becomes 27-14. Nope, it is not good. It was wide. Plenty high enough, but it did miss. So Gowrie uncharacteristically misses on the try for point. And so it's a 14-point margin, but wait a minute, there might have been a penalty. Calling the play back. Or I thought they were going to call the play back. It just might have been an injury. So it is. Okay, we'll have the kickoff coming up. And so it remains a 14-point lead for Michigan. It's been 27, Minnesota 13. And we'll be right back for the kickoff, maybe an onside.
You can record all this with this name brand blank video cassettes from Photomat, America's source for blanks. We'd like to show you all the places Pink Owens Corning fiberglass insulation can save you money. First, the attic. Good. Then, the walls. And how about that unheated crawl space? And don't forget the garage. Great. Put your house in the pink. Get pink fiberglass insulation from Owens Corning today.
Now another look here, Terry Hanratty. And Hornsby, as you said, he had to throw it up in desperation.
Hornsby was smart enough to read that blitz. And he's really got to realize he knows where his receivers are. You see Davidson, he just did a little flick of the ball, took it away from Body back there. And I'll tell you what, this is an outstanding play for a receiver.
Time remaining 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Is it onside time or not, Terry?
It's got to be onside. You see Michigan, what they're going to put up there now is what you call your hands team. That means all the little numbers and the 80 numbers, the guys who are used to handling the football. You're not going to find any 60s, 50s, or 70s out there.
Was Marion Body being helped off the field? He was injured on the on the point after try. Junior was leading interceptor last year for Michigan, making his third start here because they got players like Carpenter who's been hurt a lot. Back deep, Anthony Carter, and he's the only deep safety for Michigan. 9 players between the 40 and the 50. Then they got sort of a short safety around the 30. And then Carter back at the 15. And there's a bounding kick that's going to come all the way back to Carter. Scoops up at the 12. 25, look at 30. 40. Still going, 45. Hit from behind and down to the 47. Another great return by Anthony Carter as Minnesota was just trying to bounce that ball into a Michigan player. It missed everybody going all the way back to Carter, and he rolled it back to the 47. Boy, give Carter some time to get under steam, and it could be trouble. Here's a scoring drive for Minnesota. 80 yards in just a minute 46. Shows you how quickly things can happen. 6 plays. Now 27-13. Might ask why Minnesota didn't go for 2. They really didn't need 2 points at the time. Lawrence Ricks now replaced Wolfolk. Tom Hassel is the fullback, so Bo Schembecker getting a second-line running back. A shot that he's still sticking with Steve Smith. It's to Ricks. Ricks with an opening over Ed Moransky. And Chris Becker, they did their job on the line. Then Jim Howard, the linebacker, closed it down, but it's a gain of 4 or 5 yards for Lawrence Ricks. Gained only 267 yards this year, but he had 126 of them against Northwestern last week. There's the carries he's had, almost 5 yards a carry. As we said, he got just about half of his yardage last week. Had a great game against Northwestern. John Wood is in defensively at left end, plays for Fred Orger for Minnesota. Now he'll again to Rex, coming back against the grain as he'll be filled around the 45 of Minnesota. Postal first down. Anthony Davis, a name that has sort of familiar ring to it, doesn't it? Takes the top of Minnesota.
I was fortunate enough to do 3 Michigan games last year for ESPN, and I saw a lot of Lawrence Ricks, and he is quite a tailback. Now, if he wasn't playing behind Butch Wolfolk, he'd be playing a lot of football somewhere.
Well, he'll be back next year, and so will Anthony Carter, and so will Vince Dean, so will Steve Smith. So Becker will have some offensive guns returning for next year. He's not through this year yet. There's a give in the middle to Hassel. Glenn Howard making the stop. They're just trying for the first down here. Keep the clock rolling with 7 minutes, 18 seconds to go. Michigan has all the margin it needs in scoring. 14-point lead. There's the time, 7:18. Going back to Carter's touchdown, we told you it was his 28th career touchdown, 26 by reception. It puts him 3rd best in the Big Ten history now with 26 touchdowns by pass reception. He trails Dave Young at Purdue at 27, so he's about to tie him on the next one. And then Jay Butcher of Indiana, who holds the Big Ten record of 30. So that's very much in the reach of Carter before this year's over. And Carter's got next year.
First down for Michigan, so they're just going to crank up that machine.
7 minutes and 18 seconds to go on the clock here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Steve Smith is going to be a very strong candidate for MVP, I feel sure. Back on the field with the play, and Michigan down to the Minnesota 43 first down. Anthony Carter is in there to the left side. I think Michigan might keep it on the ground here. Here comes Smith, the option. Smith rolling, tries to stay in bounds, and he does. Inside the 40-yard line, Glenn Howard rolls him out. Howard, for a guy coming off ankle surgery, played well. 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6.
Yeah, I've been impressed all day long with Minnesota's defense. I thought they played extremely well. And it's a whole Wolfo. What he's done so far today, I think just an outstanding job. He only had this one real big run.
Well, I think without a doubt that the defense is Minnesota's strong point. They had held Big Ten teams to 121 yards rushing. I think Minnesota thinks it could be over that, perhaps, but not by a lot. Fred Brockington now getting through. And again, up the middle of Ricks, and Ricks gets a little bit of a breathing room, and he fires right through the 30. Another first down for Michigan. Carl Mecklenburg trips up Larry Ricks. Another first down for the Wolverines. Well, perhaps it'll be another trip to Pasadena here for the Maize and Blue. Last year they went out and defeated Washington. And they're not out of the Big Ten race yet, although they've got some playing to do.
All day long, they've opened up nice hole. And you see the fullback leading in there. Now you're going to see 46. Ricks, who would have come into your picture there.
Here's Ricks again. Ricks now runs into trouble. Penalty flag down. Penalty flag down. Thrown in the area where it might be a clip against Michigan. John Wood. Minnesota tackle. Holding or clipping. Is holding it. Yes, that's the way.
I don't think there's any question. I think Michigan definitely has the best offensive line in college football. I think they have 3 guys in there that could be, potentially great pro ball players. They are great college ball players. And I'll tell you what, they do some blocking up there, whether they're blocking for the pass, the option, or just, the straight blocking up the middle.
Becker, Moransky, and Paris. I doubt there's a team in America that's better threesome than that. Tackles on the ball.
I'll tell you, Betts, number 82, the tight end, is quite a blocker also.
There's an outstanding, brilliant young guy, too. Academic All-American last year and in the Big Ten.
That's what they used to say about me.
Yeah.
You talk about academics. On the other end of the stick.
Yeah, that's not fair. By the way, this is the 49th straight game Michigan has scored. The last time they were shut out was by Minnesota. That was back in 1877. Here's Smith looking. Blitz on. Smith fires over the middle. Oh, it's got it inside the 15. Anthony Carter on a pass that was perfectly thrown by Steve Smith just as he was being hit, and Glenn Cardelli could not cover number 1 again.
No way you cover him one-on-one. I'll tell you, who says that Bo Schembechler was conservative?
Nope, not on that count. You forget
14 points up, controlling the ball with 5:20 to go, and he puts a post pattern on him.
He has a career average of over 16 yards to Jack Carter. And I think the NCAA record is like 13, held by Johnny Rogers, by 72 Heisman Trophy winner from Nebraska. So Carter has a good chance before he's through it, Michigan to breaking down. Here's the play action fake, and Ernest, they give it a fullback. Hassel. Hassel's inside the 10.
And again, that offensive line just blowing them out.
So Michigan, in the process of running out the clock in the second half, looks like going to score another touchdown. They're inside the 10-yard line of Minnesota. Carter now has 8 catches for 152 yards. And he had 9 catches for 142 last year, so that's almost 300 yards in receiving just the last 2 games against Minnesota alone. And Carter isn't finished today. Here comes Smith. Smith keeping, catching the 5. Smith still driving to the 2. Michigan, and we mentioned that a tough road to home, the Big Ten. They've got to play Illinois. They have to play Purdue. They have to play Ohio State. All teams that were still contenders here this weekend, the Big Ten race. And the only team has to play only contenders.
They got 2 out of 3 there in Ann Arbor, though. 106 plus.
Yeah, including the Buckeyes.
Someplace.
Including the Buckeyes. Well, it's a goal to go. First down for Michigan. Steve Smith has thrown for 3 touchdowns. Here's Smith back, hands off to Rick. Rick backs up near the goal line. Michigan has run the clock down to 3:40 in the ball game. They're leading by 14 points, and they're threatening to put it out of reach right here, it would appear.
They were having some trouble up in the booth here trying to figure out who our Vitalis player of the game is. We've got a first time this year we split.
Well, Steve Smith and Anthony Carter. They certainly had 2 great games. Here's Smith. snap, hands it off to Rick, touchdown. Lawrence Rick back for the touchdown. That's his number 75, Bubba Parrish, 235-pounder. Help open the way for Rick. Gives a little daylight, and he squeezed in the score, and that's going to put it out of reach for Michigan. It now becomes 23-13 with a try of the point to come. Well, I like, of course, we might as well tell you, I'm voting for Smith, and
an old quarterback
here's
for a receiver.
You really love those receivers, don't you? Haji Sheik comes in and try with a point out.
We've got our producer down in the truck says we can't wait to break this tie.
DJ Vicky. Everybody's going to know who decided it, aren't they? Haji Sheik with the kick. That's the 34th point. Well, these two teams have had a recent history of really piling up the points, so there's 47 points scored already in this game that's not over with 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go. And the way Smith and Hoynesy move things, we may have more to come. So we're coming down the home stretch in Michigan in the driver's seat. It's the Wolverines 34, the Golden Gophers 13.
This Bud's for all the guys who keep the action from getting out of hand.
This Bud's for you. For all you do to keep the business coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
Alcoa can't wait.
For half a century, aluminum has played an important role in the development of the automobile. That's especially true today. Aluminum's now being used in dozens of new ways to reduce weight and increase fuel economy. There's a real demand for the lean and lively cars of the 80s, because the more aluminum we put into them, the more MPGs you get out of them.
We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
Now they complete the stadium in shadows. Matter of fact, they're losing the sunlight for the first time here today. Teddy Watson, number 49, and Terry Glenn, number 8, are deep as Haji Sheik waits to kick off here for Michigan.
Ali Haji Sheik.
Win number 6 for the Wolverines, 6 out of 8. 3 tough ones to go for 1981. Team had been picked to win the national championship, ranked number 1 in the preseason. Upset by Wisconsin in the very beginning, and some feel that really set the stage for this thrilling Big Ten race. Kick is short of Watson. He puts it up to the 10, and Watson is smacked hard there. And down he goes by Carl Peck.
Jim, you know, if you can remember last year, Michigan had a very slow start.
Yep.
And here's our Vitalis player of the game. Not the quarterback that my cohort wanted, but my receiver down here, Anthony Carter.
Well, the Vitalis Most Valuable Player Award, presented each week by ESPN now, is going to Anthony Carter, has split in for University of Michigan, number 1, a junior from Riviera Beach, Florida, who catches his 28th career touchdown pass today, and we give him our salute. Great play.
And I'll tell you, Jimmy,
I still vote for Smith, but he's the man.
He not only caught that ball so well, the thing is he made Woolfolk's day a lot easier because he's getting that double coverage out there, and he's taking away that support man. And a couple runs that Woolfolk had, these guys are downfield trying to cover Carter.
Well, no question, he draws the crowd, and even so, he was able to get there's Jim back there. After spinning the week.
There's a good picture. Good job, cameraman.
He's so happy he's crying. Well, he's been staying with the Salem family, and he's become such a close friend of one of the young Salem sons. Maybe he hates to see his buddy lose that way, too.
I love that shot. Good job, guys.
Great human interest.
There's Anthony Carter, 8 catches, 154 yards.
Isn't that some 2 games in a row he's put together against Minnesota? Well, Minnesota will be glad to see him leave the Big Ten. That's still over a year away. 9 catches for 142 and 2 touchdowns last year, which is his best day ever. So now this becomes his best day ever, 154 yards and 8 catches.
An average day of the office.
Okay, Minnesota has Ross and Strout behind Hoynesy. Well, I tell you, Hoynesy now has been replaced. Or has he? Nope, he's still in there. He got some good, too.
He sure has.
To the sidelines to Ross. Stays him down. Gets up to the 19-yard line. Walter Ross stopped at Jim Herman. Clock rolls. 3 minutes to go in the game.
I have all the respect for Mike Hohenstein. Boy, he's played a very fine game. They sat in that pocket, great protection by the offensive line, but he has such vision downfield. He doesn't quit and go to one receiver. He looks at 2 or 3 guys and makes his decision.
Last week, he was 16 out of 23, 171 yards at Iowa, and he's played almost as well here today. Just his defense could not hold down this great Michigan team. Wilson cannot call Hohenstein for that. Hohenstein Joseph got a man open. Cooper can't hold it. Cooper should have had that one right in his hands. Brian Carpenter made the hit.
And what's Carpenter? Perfect timing here. Cooper has the ball in his hand, but a nice shot. Cooper knowing he's going to get hit because he's right there in the middle of that zone.
But Carpenter has made some great plays today, too. He was a starter last year. He's been hurt with an ankle. Got back in the starting lineup just the last moment today. They were going to let Jerry Burguy start as one half back and Marion Body at the other, but now Carpenter got the call, and he's had a great afternoon shadowing Chester Cooper. Cooper's been shut down pretty well. Oh, big blitz here on Hohenstein. Hohenstein trying to get away from Letteron, and back to line of scrimmage will be about all, and it'll be 4th down for Minnesota.
And one of the few times that Michigan has been able to put pressure on Hohenstein today.
Clock now rolling with 2 minutes and 8 seconds to go in the game. Some of this great crowd of over 52,000 now filing out of the old brick house. At Minnesota, the new Dome Stadium will be completed here next year. Still remains to be seen whether Minnesota will be playing its home games there, but most people feel they will. Paul Blanchard in the punt. Anthony Carter, our player of the game, back waiting to receive.
I wouldn't have him back there now. They have him halfway to the locker room.
Here's the kick, and Carter's going to field it. Fair catch call for him, taken at the 48 in Michigan territory. So Carter doesn't risk any kind of a run back. Maybe he was told a fair catch it, which is what he does with 1:36 on the clock, and Michigan might well run out the clock here. That'll be an impressive victory for the Wolverines. B.J. Dickey's going to replace Steve Smith. And Smith did have an excellent afternoon, not just in passing, 3 touchdown passes, but he had the great runs, too, in the option. One of them early in the second half that led to what probably was the clinching score. So Dickey's in there, Hassel. And the gift now is off of the sidelines to Rick Rogers. Rogers running from tailback up close to midfield. Rogers is a tailback, Hassel is fullback, and Dickey the quarterback. And that's probably the unit's going to run out the clock. 1 minute, 20 seconds to go. Michael Aliberti made the stop for University of Minnesota. He's a junior. Been some fine performance in this game. 2 quarterbacks in Carter especially, but many others. Wolford was held out for a while and then came through a fine game. Here's Dickey firing downfield incomplete. Trying to go deep to Fred Brockington. And Brockington was covered by about 3 or 4 players. Good coverage by Terry Glenn especially.
You know, Jim, a lot of times people in this situation say that Michigan is trying to run up the score on Minnesota by throwing the ball late in a game like this. But my feeling is you can never run up a score as long as you have your second-team quarterback in there. Because you always have to have him ready in case something happens to number 1. And he's got to get in there and throw under pressure, under fire.
You have to give him a chance to play. Minnesota player coming off injured here. A Michigan player, we'll tell you about Marion Body, but here's Michigan now, set to go. 3rd down. Here's B.J. looking. Back. Taken down way back for a long loss by John Wood, a junior from Schofield, Wisconsin. Wood gets back to the Michigan 35-yard line. A long loss, and still 35 seconds to go in the game. So that brings Don Bracken out once more. Bracken has not had his usual good day punting. Came in here as the 5th leading punter in the country, 45.5. Last week he averaged 56 yards on kicking. But today has not hit the ball nearly that well. Unfortunately, on some bounces, those averages have come down substantially. Gets a good one here. Way back Catch is taken back there by Glenn Cardelli and down around the 20-yard line with 8 seconds to go. So they're going to have time for Hoyington to have one shot at it here. And then the game probably is going to end with Michigan the winner. Right now it's 34-13 for the Wolverines. Well, the upset of the 70s, and there's the old Oaken, the little brown jug. The little brown jug left here in 1903 by Fritz Chrysler and asked it to be returned. Well, the Minnesota team sent a message to Michigan, said, come and get it. So 1909, they did. They won it. And they've been playing for it ever since. It's become the most prized and the most famous football trophy in all the country. Here's Hornsby, maybe the last play of the game. Down the middle, incomplete with 3 seconds to go. Going for Walter Ross, will have time for one more play. I started to say the old Oaken Bucket. Of course, that's a great rivalry, too, isn't it, Purdue and Indiana?
Oh, battle for the bragging rights. But there's another school in Indiana. It's not too bad.
Where would that be?
Well, we won't brag about this
South
year.
Bend. What's the record of South Bend this year?
1 in today, 2 and 4. Better things to come.
That's for sure. Out the left is Westbeck to the right, Cooper. Hoyington, maybe the last play, 3 seconds, barring a penalty here. This is the second and 79. He's going to Cooper. Going for Cooper, and it is incomplete. Time is out on the clock. That's it. The ball game is over. And the University of Michigan, impressive today, giving Bo Schembechler victory number 160 in his outstanding career. And for Michigan, 6-2, 4-2 in the Big Ten. And they're still very much in the hunt to defend their championship. Bo Schembechler going out, and congratulations on the Minnesota players. There's Joe Salem, the 2 coaches. And we told you throughout, they're very close, very good friends. And now that the battle is over, they can go back to that friendship. Joe's telling Bo, well, congratulations, you played a great game. And what the coaches say to each other.
Michigan 7-2, 5-2 in the conference. Bo Schembechler, Irv told us before the game, talked about the offense playing better. I think that was understating the case. The last 3 games, they've been awesome, scoring 70 points last week against Illinois.
That was hard to believe because Illinois had them down 21-7, marching toward a 4th score. There was an interception, and then Michigan just turned it around. And, yeah, they have been playing excellent on offense. It's interesting, Sam. Bo Schembechler believes everything starts with defense, and the offense takes care of itself. And I would say that it is taking care of itself.
Ali Haji Sheikh will kick off for Michigan. Deep to receive for Purdue, number 21, Jimmy Smith. Number 20, Eric Jordan. Smith to the bottom of the screen. Jordan to the top. Haji Sheikh with a kickoff. It's high. Coming down to the 2-yard line. Taken by Jordan. And he is brought down immediately at the 9-yard line, maybe the 10. Jeff Reeves makes the tackle. Purdue on offense. Scott Campbell, the quarterback. Wally Jones, Jimmy Smith in the backfield. Steve Bryant, Joe Linville, the wide receivers. Benson, Fritchie, Gunner, Royer, Fields, and Gillespie up front. Purdue, 1st and 10 from the 10-yard line. Michigan with excellent kickoff coverage. Wide to the right, Steve Bryant. Joe Linville wide to the left. Put the backs in the backfield. Jeff Fulmer, number 41, is playing at fullback, and he carries on 1st down. Gets 2 on the play. Paul Gergash, number 50, in on the stop. The Michigan defense up front. Caraway back from an injury. Hammerstein and Osmond, the front 3. Linebackers Thompson, Gergash, Foran, and Needham. And the deep backs Carpenter, Bostic, Jackson, and Burguy. Burguy with a big interception last week, helping turn the game around against Illinois. 2nd and 8. Handoff to Fulmer, the fullback. Good hold on a good cutback. And he's down to the 23-yard line. 1st down, Purdue. Nice run by the fullback, Jeff Fulmer.
Good blocking from Jim Frisky and Ray Gunner. Is just a little cross action. Here's the trap. They cut inside. They're able to seal off the linebackers. Excellent blocking. And that's what Purdue has to do, establish something on the ground.
Jeff Fulmer, a sophomore, starting today. And in the backfield with him. Fulmer takes the handoff. Another good hole up to the 29-yard line. Picks up 6 on the play. Before Ben Needham, the outside linebacker, makes the stop. Purdue with a surprise starting backfield of Fulmer, number 41 at tailback, and number 37, Bruce King at fullback.
Well, it is a surprise because we expected to see a lot of Jimmy Smith. They are running behind Gunner and Frisky. The quick guard and King on a little trap. He just steal the guard, claps on the left side, and King runs hard. That's a good-looking back. Once again, they do not go with Smith. It is King, and he's getting the chores done in the early going. Ball at the 46-yard line. 1st and 10 for Purdue. And we thought they'd come out throwing. They've run the ball from their own 10. This is Fulmer, the fullback, up to the 49-yard line. Gergash and Boren in on the tackle. Boren, number 40, a sophomore from Columbus, Ohio. Gergash, a junior out of Lakewood, Ohio. Fulmer's got decent size. He's 6 foot 196, and they are just blowing him off the line of scrimmage right now. That usually doesn't happen to the Wolverines. 2nd and 7, ball just short of the 49-yard line. Campbell, first pass of the game, out to the right side. It's complete.